The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Why on some dark nights why does St. Mary's Church Nelson appear to have no steeple? The steeple was added in the 1900s. On the outskirts of the small, forgotten town of Nelson, nestled amidst a shroud of ancient trees, stood St. Mary's Church. Its time-worn stones bore the weight of centuries, and its spire seemed to reach for the heavens. The church held within its walls the echoes of long-forgotten prayers and whispered secrets. Legend had it that on certain dark nights, when the moon hung low and the wind whispered through the gnarled branches, a peculiar phenomenon occurred at St. Mary's. The once sturdy staple, added to the church's door in the early 1900s, would vanish into thin air, leaving the entrance eerily unprotected. Local folklore spun tales of restless spirits and ghostly apparitions, claiming that on these nights, the church became a portal to the otherworldly. Those brave enough to venture near spoke of a chill that permeated the air, and shadows that danced along the ancient stone walls. It was on one such night, as the moon cast its pale glow over the town, that a curious soul named Samuel dared to investigate the mystery of St. Mary's Church. Armed with only a flickering lantern and a heart filled with both trepidation and fascination, he approached the looming structure. The churchyard seemed to hold its breath, the silence broken only by the distant hoot of an owl. Samuel's footsteps echoed off the cobblestones as he drew closer to the ancient door. His breath hung in the frigid air, and his pulse quickened with anticipation. As he reached out to touch the place where the staple should have been, a sudden gust of wind extinguished his lantern, plunging him into darkness. Panic gripped Samuel's chest, but he steeled himself and fumbled for his matches, striking one alight. To his astonishment, he found the staple was indeed missing. The door stood ajar, revealing the yawning blackness within. Samuel's heart pounded in his chest, but something compelled him to step inside. The interior of St. Mary's was bathed in an ethereal, silvery light, casting elongated shadows across the ancient pews. The air was thick with a mixture of damp earth and aged wood. Samuel's footsteps echoed softly as he explored, the sound reverberating through the silent nave. Suddenly, a distant whisper echoed through the chamber, sending shivers down Samuel's spine. He turned, peering into the shadows. The murmur grew louder, the words indistinct but haunting. It seemed to emanate from the very stones of the church itself. As Samuel strained to comprehend the spectral message, a figure materialized before him. It was a woman, her features ethereal and indistinct. She wore a gown of faded silk, and her eyes held a mournful glimmer. "Who are you?" Samuel managed to stammer, his voice barely above a whisper. The apparition's lips moved, and her voice echoed like distant chimes. "I am Eleanor, bound to this place by a promise unfulfilled." Eleanor's tale unfolded like a tragic tapestry, woven with love and loss, betrayal and redemption. Samuel listened, his heart heavy with the weight of her story. Determined to free Eleanor's spirit from its earthly tether, Samuel pledged to fulfill the promise made so long ago. With trembling hands, he retraced his steps, seeking the missing staple. As he secured it in place, a soft sigh seemed to echo through the church, and the spectral figure of Eleanor dissolved into a gentle mist, fading into the night. From that moment on, St. Mary's Church held a different air, a sense of peace that hung in the ancient stones. The staple remained firmly in place, a silent sentinel against the darkness. And so, the legend of St. Mary's Church lived on, a testament to the enduring power of love and the restless spirits that found solace in the hearts of those brave enough to listen. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Annal Cross near Barley and Downham, Lancashire is a place where George Fox preached from. George Fox climbed Pendle in 1652, where he had the vision that inspired the birth of the Quaker movement. It spread swiftly through England and abroad during the English Civil War. Now, Quakers from all around the world make visits to this special place. Title: Seeds of Light. In the heart of Lancashire, nestled between the quaint villages of Barley and Downham, lies a place steeped in history and serenity. Pendle Cross, a weathered stone structure, stands as a silent sentinel to the events that unfolded there centuries ago. In the year 1652, a man named George Fox ascended the rugged slopes of Pendle Hill, the wind whipping through his simple garb. He sought solace in the midst of a tumultuous era, a time when England was torn asunder by the fires of civil war. His heart yearned for a deeper connection with the divine, and he believed this desolate hill held the answers he sought. As George reached the summit, the misty veil of Lancashire hung around him like a shroud. There, amidst the swirling fog, something extraordinary happened. It was as if the heavens themselves reached down to touch his soul. In that moment, George Fox was granted a vision that would ignite a movement that would transcend borders and time. With newfound purpose burning within him, George returned to the villages below, his voice carrying the weight of revelation. He spoke of a spiritual awakening, of a direct communion with the divine that transcended the need for priests or churches. The Quaker movement was born, a beacon of light in a world shrouded in darkness. Word spread like wildfire, and soon, Quaker communities blossomed across England and beyond. People hungered for this unfiltered connection with the divine, this unwavering commitment to truth and simplicity. Pendle Cross became a sacred site, a place where seekers from all corners of the world would converge, drawn by the resonance of George Fox's revelation. Generations passed, but the spirit of Pendle Cross endured. Its ancient stones whispered stories of those who sought solace, who found their own revelations amidst the Lancashire mist. Quakers from distant lands made pilgrimages to this hallowed ground, their hearts swelling with gratitude for the seed of truth that had taken root on the wind-swept hill. Today, as the sun dips below the Lancashire horizon, casting golden hues upon the landscape, Pendle Cross stands in quiet dignity. The echoes of George Fox's voice have long since faded, but the legacy of his vision lives on. Quakers gather in hallowed reverence, continuing the tradition of seeking truth in the stillness, finding light in the silence. And so, the story of Pendle Cross near Barley and Downham, Lancashire endures, a story of a visionary, a misty hill, and the enduring power of a revelation that sparked a movement of seekers and truth-bearers. It is a story of roots that run deep, of a place where the sacred and the earthly converge, reminding us all that sometimes, in the quietest moments, the seeds of light are sown. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Arundel Street. Nelson overlooked the recreation grounds towards Victoria Park. In between Arundel Street and the park was held for 3 or 4 days in the summer was the Wakes Fair, known as Green's Fair. Today, in the late June and July, you might see and hear the fair and his ghostly rides and ghostly people enjoying the warm night air. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows over Arundel Street. Nelson. From the vantage point, one could see the sprawling recreation grounds that stretched towards Victoria Park. In the heart of this space, tucked between Arundel Street and the park itself, was a place steeped in tradition, a patch of land that held secrets from days long past. For 3 or 4 days every summer, this spot came alive with vibrant colors, raucous laughter, and the sweet scent of cotton candy. It was a time when the town gathered to celebrate a tradition that had endured through the ages, the Wakes Fair, affectionately known as Green's Fair. As late June bled into July, the air became charged with anticipation. The distant strains of merry music and the faint hum of generators echoed through the streets. The fairground came alive with a spectral glow, seemingly untouched by the passage of time. The rides, their paint faded yet their frames sturdy, stood as monuments to a bygone era. As twilight fell, the fair took on an otherworldly quality. The laughter of children and the chatter of families blended with the creaking of the rides, creating a symphony that seemed to dance between reality and something more ethereal. It was said that on certain nights, when the air hung thick with the scent of popcorn and the distant strains of carousel music echoed through the town, one might catch a glimpse of ghostly figures. They were the spectres of revelers long gone, forever trapped in the echo of their joyous moments. Under the pale moonlight, the rides whirled and spun, carrying with them the echoes of countless summers past. The spectral figures, their laughter frozen in time, swirled alongside the living, a testament to the enduring magic of Green's Fair. Among the ghostly throng, one could almost make out the contours of faces, their features softened by the mists of memory. They danced through the night, their joy a timeless refrain that resonated through the years. As the first light of dawn kissed the horizon, the fair began to fade, its ethereal enchantment yielding to the reality of daybreak. The rides grew still, the laughter and music fading like a dream upon waking. Yet, the memory lingered, a whispered tale passed down through generations. Each summer, as the days grew long and the air warmed, the people of Nelson would gather once more, drawn by the magic that still clung to that patch of land between Arundel Street and Victoria Park. They would come to celebrate, to remember, and to pay homage to a tradition that transcended time. And so, year after year, the ghostly rides and the ghostly people would emerge once more, dancing in the warm night air, keeping alive the spirit of Green's Fair for generations yet to come. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. But location, Droylsden, Clayton Hall. Title, The Clayton Hall. But once nestled in the heart of Droylsden stood the grandeur of Clayton Hall, a place steeped in history and secrets. It was a stately home, with its creaking wooden floors, towering ceilings, and ornate tapestries that told tales of bygone eras. Yet, among the splendor, there was a sinister presence that dwelled within the walls of Clayton Hall. The locals whispered of a malevolent force, a poltergeist, that wreaked havoc in the dead of night. Beds were left in disarray, covers tossed aside as if by unseen hands. The air was thick with an ominous energy, punctuated by bone-chilling crashes and deafening bangs. The townsfolk were gripped by fear, their hearts pounding with each echoing sound that reverberated through the halls. Some claimed to have caught glimpses of a shadowy figure, moving swiftly and with purpose, its form indistinct but its intent clear, to disturb and terrify. As the legend grew, so did the unease. The once bustling hall was now shrouded in a foreboding silence, as if the very walls held their breath, anticipating the next assault from the unseen malevolence. Word reached the ears of the local church, and they knew action must be taken. A member of their devout congregation, Father James, took it upon himself to confront the entity that plagued Clayton Hall. Armed with faith and a profound sense of duty, he entered the halls with a heart unyielding to fear. The night was still, the air electric with tension as Father James made his way through the darkened corridors. His footsteps echoed off the cold stone, a stark contrast to the oppressive silence that hung around him. He carried with him a relic of great power, a symbol of his unwavering faith. With each step, he recited prayers, invoking the protection and guidance of a higher power. He knew that to face this malevolence, he must stand resolute, for doubt would be his undoing. As Father James approached the heart of Clayton Hall, the atmosphere grew colder, a frigid breeze brushing against his skin. He could feel the presence, a malevolence that seemed to seep from the very walls themselves. With a final prayer, Father James raised the relic high, illuminating the darkness with a soft, golden glow. In that moment, the air seemed to crackle with energy, and the bite revealed itself, a swirling mass of shadow and malice. Undeterred, Father James spoke with a voice filled with conviction, commanding the entity to depart from this realm and find peace. The bot resisted, its form contorting and writhing, but Father James held firm. With a final surge of power, the bot let out a shriek that echoed through the halls, then dissipated, leaving behind an eerie calm. Clayton Hall was free from the malevolent presence that had plagued it for so long. Father James emerged, weary but triumphant, knowing that he had vanquished the bot and restored peace to the once hallowed halls. From that day forward, Clayton Hall stood as a testament to the power of faith and the courage to confront the darkest of forces. The legend of the Clayton Hall bot became a cautionary tale, a reminder that even in the face of the supernatural, there are those who will rise to the challenge, armed with unwavering faith and an unyielding spirit. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Cardi Works, Barrowford near Nelson in Lancashire. Snowy and the Morrigan. In the heart of Lancashire, nestled among the verdant hills, lay the Cardi Works of Barrowford, a place where colours bloomed and fabrics came to life. Among the whirring machines and the scent of dyes, there was a man known to all as Snowy. His hair, once dark as coal, had turned a striking shade of white. It was a puzzle that intrigued the workers, for none could fathom why. Snowy was a man of quiet demeanour, his eyes holding secrets that danced like shadows. He moved among the vats and looms with an air of mystery, as if he carried stories within him, waiting to be unravelled. Yet, Snowy's enigma paled in comparison to another, far older and far more mysterious, the Morrigan. Her legend, whispered in hushed tones by firesides, was woven with threads of war, destiny, and the ever-present shadow of death. A shapeshifter of unparalleled skill, she favoured the form of the crow, a harbinger of both doom and transformation. The folk of Barrowford, in their quaint Lancashire village, were no strangers to tales of the Morrigan. They'd hear stories passed down through generations, of battles where her presence loomed, where crows circled above, carrying with them the weight of fate. As the seasons passed, a curious synchronicity unfolded. It was said that on the eve of significant events, a birth, a marriage, or even the passing of a soul, Snowy could be found at the outskirts of the village, his white hair glinting like moonlight on freshly fallen snow. And accompanying him were crows, countless and restless, their calls carrying an ancient, mournful song. The villagers marveled at this sight, sensing an unspoken connection between the man and the Morrigan. Some believed Snowy was touched by the hand of destiny, that he bore a fragment of the Morrigan's essence within him. Yet, the truth remained a tapestry of whispers and speculation. Snowy himself never spoke of the reason behind his name or the spectral crows that accompanied him. He let the enigma weave itself deeper, a shroud that veiled the answers. As the years rolled on, the legend of Snowy and the Morrigan became inseparable, intertwining like ivy on an ancient stone. They became symbols of an untamed, enigmatic force that whispered through the Lancashire hills, a reminder that in the folds of the everyday, magic and mystery still dwelled. And so, the Cardi Works of Barrowford continued to hum with life, the threads of stories woven into every fabric that passed through its gates. Snowy, with his white hair, and the Morrigan, with her crows, remained guardians of a legacy that blended reality with the arcane, leaving an indelible mark on the annals of Lancashire lore. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Centuries passed, and the legend of Vivienne Nimue, the Blood Queen, faded into the annals of history. England flourished under the rule of benevolent kings and queens. The memory of the dark times was buried beneath layers of time, but the threat still lingered. In the year 2023, a historian named Eliza stumbled upon an ancient manuscript tucked away in the dusty archives of a forgotten library. The words spoke of the Blood Queen and her reign of terror, the valiant King Arthur, and the dismemberment at the witch's tree on Pendle Hill. Fascinated by the story, Eliza embarked on a journey to unearth the truth. Armed with her knowledge and a burning curiosity, she set out to find the scattered remains of Vivienne Nimue. The whispers of the past guided her to the mystical Pendle Hill, where the ancient witch's tree stood as a sentinel to the ages. As Eliza arrived at the hill, a strange sensation washed over her. The air hummed with an otherworldly energy, and the trees whispered secrets that only the winds could understand. With each step, she felt a connection to a time long past. The witch's tree loomed before her, its gnarled branches reaching skyward like skeletal fingers. Eliza knew that this place held the key to unlocking the dark secrets of Vivienne Nimue's demise. Days turned into nights as Eliza delved deeper into the mysteries of Pendle Hill. She combed through ancient texts, deciphering cryptic clues and piecing together fragments of forgotten lore. It was as though the very land itself yearned to reveal its secrets. Then, one fateful night, under the light of a full moon, Eliza discovered a hidden chamber beneath the witch's tree. There, nestled within the earth, lay the long-forgotten remains of the Blood Queen. Trembling with anticipation, Eliza carefully gathered the bones, mindful of the weight of history they carried. With reverence, she cradled them in her arms, feeling a surge of power emanate from the ancient relics. As she emerged from the chamber, a presence manifested before her. It was the spirit of Gainida, the once loyal member of Nimue's coven who had aided King Arthur in her defeat. "Thank you, brave seeker," Gainida spoke, her voice a melodic echo of ages past. "You have freed the world from the lingering threat of the Blood Queen. May this land flourish once more." With a final ethereal touch, Gainida vanished, leaving Eliza alone with the weight of history in her arms. She knew that this moment would be etched into the annals of time, a new chapter in the tale of England's resilience against darkness. Returning to civilization, Eliza carefully preserved the remains of Vivienne Nimue, ensuring they would never again pose a threat. She shared her discovery with the world, bringing to light the ancient battle that had shaped the course of history. And as the years passed, the memory of the Blood Queen transformed from a nightmare into a testament to the strength of those who dared to face the shadows of the past. England stood as a beacon of resilience, forever guarded by the valiant King Arthur, the wise Gainida, and the determined historian who had unearthed their story. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Disease cure location, Didsbury, Welwyn Churchyard, may no longer be present. Type, other date time, 19th century. Further comments. A well here was said to cure disease. People would also leave pins close to it for luck. In the heart of Didsbury, nestled amid the quaint streets and cobblestone pathways, there stood an ancient churchyard. Within its hallowed grounds lay a secret that had whispered through the centuries. A well, hidden beneath the moss-covered stones, said to possess miraculous powers. The townsfolk spoke of this well in hushed tones, their voices tinged with a mix of reverence and awe. For generations, it had been a beacon of hope, a sanctuary for those in the clutches of illness. Legend had it that its waters held the key to healing, a respite for the afflicted. As word of the well's mysterious abilities spread, a steady pilgrimage of desperate souls made their way to the churchyard. They came bearing not just their ailments, but also offerings of gratitude, a bouquet of wildflowers, a loaf of freshly baked bread, or a small, treasured token. Among these tokens were the glinting pins, carefully placed near the well, believed to summon luck and protection. The townspeople watched, hearts aflutter with anticipation, as the afflicted approached the well, their eyes brimming with hope and vulnerability. With trembling hands, they dipped makeshift cups into the cool, clear waters, drawing forth the elixir that held the promise of rebirth. Miracles began to unfold. Those who had once languished in the shadow of illness now stood tall, vitality coursing through their veins. Skepticism gave way to wonder, and the churchyard became a place of communal devotion, a testament to the inexplicable power that dwelled beneath the earth. Children played near the well, their laughter mingling with the soft rustle of leaves. Mothers clasped their little ones, their eyes shimmering with tears of gratitude. The old and infirm, once resigned to their fate, now walked with newfound vigor, as though shedding the weight of years. Yet, as with all things, whispers of the miraculous began to drift beyond the boundaries of Didsbury. Travelers came from distant lands, drawn by the lure of the well's legend. They knelt by its edge, their breath held in anticipation, praying for deliverance from afflictions that had haunted them for far too long. With each passing season, the churchyard thrived, bathed in the warm embrace of gratitude and reverence. The well had become a beacon of help for all who sought solace from the clutches of disease. As time flowed on, the whispers of the well in Didisbury wove themselves into the fabric of folklore. The town itself became a sanctuary, a haven for those in need. And though the years wore on and the world changed around it, the well in the churchyard remained, a silent witness to the boundless capacity of faith and the enduring power of hope. By Donald J. The Random Jotting of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Donald, looking down Carr Road, Nelson on the left you come to the bowling green in Milton Street, the you come to the football field and stock car racing when the football club moved. On the right of Carr Road you come to what we called the bottom shop and then the recreation ground where the fair was held, where people learned to drive the cars and children played, and then you come to Victoria Park, a joy to all back in the day. Donald had spent his entire life in Nelson, a small town with a charm that seemed to have frozen in time. As he strolled down Carr Road, memories flooded back, each corner holding a story. On the left, he spotted the old bowling green in Milton Street. It had been a hub of activity in his youth, where friends gathered for friendly competition and camaraderie. Donald could almost hear the echoes of laughter and the satisfying thud of wood against wood. Further down, the football field and stock car racing track came into view. He remembered the cheers of the crowd, the excitement in the air, and the thrill of watching those cars speed around the track, kicking up dust and adrenaline. As he walked, Donald's mind wandered to the day the football club had moved. It had been a bittersweet moment, a chapter ending but another one ready to begin. Turning his attention to the right side of Carr Road, he approached what everyone referred to as the bottom shop. It had been a cornerstone of the community, a place where locals gathered for essentials and a chat. The memories of familiar faces and friendly greetings warmed his heart. Continuing on, he reached the recreation ground, a place where the fair used to be held. It was a spot that held a special place in Donald's heart. It was here that he learned to drive, the wide open space offering the perfect training ground for a young enthusiast. The image of children playing, their laughter filling the air, brought a smile to Donald's face. It was a place where friendships were forged, where youthful dreams took root and grew. Finally, he arrived at Victoria Park. Even now, the memory of that place brought a sense of joy. The towering trees, the well-tended gardens, and the winding paths were etched into his mind. It had been a haven for the town, a place of solace and celebration. As Donald stood in the shadow of his past, he felt a sense of gratitude wash over him. These streets, these parks, and these fields had been witnesses to his life, to the lives of generations before him. They held the echoes of laughter, the cheers of victory, and the whispers of dreams. Nelson might have changed over the years, but for Donald, it would always be home. Each corner held a memory, each step a testament to a life well lived in a town that would forever be a part of him. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Donald. The kitchen or living room rack where we all dried our cloths was back in the past. Our cloths smelled of food that Mum or Gran was cooking, happy days when we was young. Donald stood in the middle of the kitchen, his eyes fixed on the old wooden rack that hung above the stove. It was weathered and worn, a testament to the countless loads of laundry it had held over the years. Memories flooded his mind, carrying him back to a time when life was simpler, and the scent of home-cooked meals filled the air. He could still hear the laughter of his siblings echoing through the house, their small feet pattering on the linoleum floor. The kitchen was the heart of their home, a place where warmth and love seemed to emanate from every corner. It was where his mother and grandmother worked side by side, crafting dishes that would become the stuff of legend in their family. Donald's gaze shifted to the living room, where the comfortable old couch held the indents of countless movie nights and lazy Sunday afternoons. It was a sanctuary, a place where stories were shared and dreams were spun. The memories of those days were etched into the fabric of the furniture, like whispers of the past that still lingered in the air. As he closed his eyes, he could almost taste the flavors that had filled the room. The rich aroma of his grandmother's famous pot roast, the tangy sweetness of his mother's apple pie, and the comforting scent of freshly baked bread. Each dish held a special place in his heart, a reminder of the love that had been poured into every meal. Donald's fingers grazed the edges of the rack, feeling the rough texture beneath his touch. It was a silent witness to the passage of time, a bridge between the then and the now. He could almost see his younger self, standing on tiptoes to hang his clothes, a mischievous grin on his face. As the years had passed, life had taken its toll. The old kitchen rack had witnessed its share of joys and sorrows, but it stood strong, a symbol of resilience and enduring love. Donald knew that no matter how much time had passed, the essence of those days still lived within the walls of his childhood home. With a sigh, he turned away from the rack, a sense of gratitude welling up within him. Those happy days of his youth were now cherished memories, woven into the very fabric of his being. They were a reminder that no matter where life took him, he would always carry the warmth and love of his family with him. As he walked out of the kitchen, Donald couldn't help but smile. The past was a treasure trove of moments that had shaped him into the person he was today. And though those days were gone, their spirit lived on, a beacon of light in the tapestry of his life. By Donald J. Every day of my life I have to add another name to the list of people who piss me off. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Hag, elderly woman, a hag, from the village near of Briarcliff. The parish of Briarcliff has been present since at least 1235, when the lordship of Briarcliff, Edmund de Lacy, was granted the charter of Freewarden, allowing him to use the area for hunting hares, rabbits and foxes. The earliest knowledge of the village dates back to the late 16th century, when the Hare and Hounds public house, which took its name from the hunting activity in the region, was established. The first official documentation of the village was in the early 17th century, although historians have been unable to elucidate the exact roots of the name. Local folklore suggested that the name came from the fact that an elderly woman, a hag, from the village was known to sit on a 5-barred gate and watch the world. In the heart of Briarcliff, where the tales of old echoed through the cobbled streets, there lived a woman known as Hag 8. She was an enigma, draped in the mists of time, a living legend in her own right. The villagers spoke of her in hushed tones, weaving stories of her wisdom and peculiar ways. Hag 8, with her gnarled hands and eyes that held the secrets of centuries, dwelled in a quaint cottage at the edge of the woods. Her abode was adorned with dried herbs, curious trinkets, and ancient texts, each telling a story of its own. It was said she could brew potions that healed ailments of both body and soul. The parish of Briarcliff itself held history etched in every stone, reaching back to the days when lords and ladies chased hares and foxes through the sprawling woods. The Hare and Hounds pub, a relic of those times, stood as a sentinel to the ancient traditions. It was within this tapestry of time that Hag 8 found her place. She was known to perch on a weathered, 5-barred gate at the outskirts of the village, where the world unfolded before her. Her eyes, sharp as a hawk's, observed the ebb and flow of life, absorbing stories in the rustling leaves and the distant calls of birds. It was said that she could foresee events yet to come, her insights woven into the fabric of the village's history. As the years passed, Hag 8 became both a fixture and a mystery. Some sought her counsel, drawn to the ancient wisdom that seemed to flow through her veins. Others regarded her with wary eyes, fearing the unknown that clung to her like a shroud. One chilly autumn evening, a young girl named Ella ventured to Hag 8's cottage, carrying with her a heart heavy with grief. Her brother, a spirited lad with dreams as boundless as the sky, had fallen ill. The village healer had tried all remedies, but hope dwindled like a candle in the wind. Hagate welcomed Elaine with a knowing smile, her eyes crinkling with warmth. She listened to the girl's tale, her gaze never wavering. Then, with a sense of purpose that spoke of ages past, she gathered herbs and mixed potions, infusing them with a touch of ancient magic. Days turned into nights, and Elaine faithfully administered the elixirs. Slowly, the color returned to her brother's cheeks, and the spark of life ignited anew. The village watched in wonder, whispering that Hagate held powers beyond mortal ken. Word spread like wildfire, and soon, the villagers sought Hagate's wisdom for their own trials and tribulations. She became a beacon of hope, a source of solace for those in need. As the years rolled on, Hagate's legend grew, entwining with the very essence of Briarcliff. Her presence became a testament to the enduring magic of the land and the souls that called it home. And so, on the outskirts of the village, Hagate continued to sit upon the five-barred gate, her eyes fixed on the horizon. She watched the world with the knowing gaze of one who had witnessed the dance of time and found her place within its tapestry. For in Briarcliff, the past and present merged, and Hagate, the ancient seer, remained its steadfast guardian. By Donald J. The Random Jotting of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Hunting for the Child. Location: Darwin, Old Cemetery. Manifestation: a woman in white is said to haunt the old cemetery, looking for her child. She either died in childbirth or was murdered by men who then stole her baby. A local myth says that by speaking the words "White Lady, I stole your black baby," she will appear. The wind whispered through the ancient tombstones, carrying with it the secrets of ages past. The old cemetery in Darwin held stories untold, but none as haunting as that of the woman in white. No one knew her name, but the legend spoke of a grieving mother, lost to time. Some said she perished in childbirth, while others whispered of a darker tale, a sinister plot by heartless men who stole her precious babe. The truth, like the mist that clung to the graves, eluded the living. Children would dare one another to speak the incantation, their voices trembling as they chanted, White Lady, I stole your black baby." A shiver would run down their spines, even in the warmth of the noonday sun. One chilly autumn evening, as the leaves rustled like spectral whispers, a bold group of teenagers gathered at the edge of the old cemetery. Among them was Emily, a girl known for her fearless spirit and insatiable curiosity. With her heart pounding, Emily stepped forward, determined to unravel the mystery that shrouded the woman in white. She squared her shoulders, took a deep breath, and spoke the words that echoed through time. White Lady, I stole your black baby." The air grew still, suffused with an eerie silence. The shadows seemed to coalesce, forming a spectral figure bathed in moonlight. It was her, the woman in white. Her gown billowed like ethereal smoke, and her eyes, filled with sorrow and rage, bore into Emily's soul. She looked as if she were both a spectre and a mother, bound by a tragic fate. The woman's voice, though soft, carried the weight of centuries. "Who are you, child? Why have you summoned me?" Emily's voice trembled, but she held her ground. "I seek to know your story, to understand your pain. Can you tell me what happened?" Tears glistened in the woman's eyes, catching the moonlight. "Long ago, I was torn from my child. Men, driven by cruelty and greed, stole him from my arms, leaving me to wander in eternal sorrow. I yearn to hold him once more, but I am bound to this place." Emily's heart ached for the lost mother and her stolen child. "Is there anything I can do to help you find peace?" The woman's gaze softened, and for a moment, hope flickered in her eyes. "If you can uncover the truth, if you can find my child's resting place, then perhaps we can both be set free." Determined, Emily set out on a quest to unearth the buried secrets of Darwin. She combed through ancient records, pieced together fragments of forgotten stories, and sought out the whispers of the town's oldest residents. Finally, after months of tireless searching, Emily discovered a long-buried document that held the key to the woman's tragic tale. With trembling hands, she returned to the old cemetery, armed with the truth. As she stood before the woman in white once more, Emily shared the revelation. The woman's eyes shone with gratitude, and a radiant smile spread across her face. "Thank you, brave child. You had given me hope and released me from my eternal torment." With those words, the woman in white began to glow, her form dissipating like morning mist. As she vanished, Emily felt a profound sense of fulfillment, knowing that she had helped reunite a mother and child, even across the chasm of life and death. From that day forward, the old cemetery in Darwin held a new kind of magic, a tale of redemption, compassion, and the enduring power of love. The woman in white and her child could finally rest in peace, their souls forever intertwined in the embrace of eternity. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. In Pendle Street, Nelson lived an old man, a cobbler, clogmaker and shoe repairer. For years his shop was dark and mysterious, where strange things happen at night. The townspeople of Nelson whispered about the old man who lived on Pendle Street. They called him Mr. Hawthorne, the cobbler clogmaker. His shop, nestled between the other buildings, stood like a sentinel of mystery, its windows shrouded in darkness even during the brightest hours of the day. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the cobbled streets, the shop seemed to come alive. Strange lights flickered behind the glass, casting eerie glows on the worn sign that read, "Hawthorne's Clogs and Repairs." Curious souls who dared to venture near would sometimes hear faint, haunting melodies emanating from within. The notes danced through the night air, weaving a melancholic tale that left shivers down their spines. Rumors spoke of peculiar customers, figures draped in cloaks and shadows, who slipped in and out of the shop with their stealth of ghosts. They spoke in hushed tones, exchanging words that held secrets older than time itself. One stormy night, a brave soul named Amelia, fueled by curiosity and a touch of recklessness, gathered her courage and stepped through the creaking door. The shop's interior was a labyrinth of shelves and dimly lit corners, each filled with rows of clogs and shoes, their soles worn from years of travel. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the air, seeming to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. "Ah, a visitor," it crooned, sending a shiver down Amelia's spine. She spun around, but there was no one to be seen. "Who's there?" she called, her voice trembling. "Merely a humble cobbler, my dear," the voice replied, now seeming to emanate from an ancient, weathered chair by the window. Its back was turned, revealing only a tattered cloak that swayed gently as though caught in a phantom breeze. Amelia approached cautiously, her footsteps muffled by the thick layer of dust that coated the floor. "Mr. Hawthorne?" she ventured. The chair creaked, and slowly it turned, revealing an old man with eyes as deep and mysterious as the night itself. His gnarled hands, etched with a lifetime of crafting, reached out, beckoning her closer. "You have ventured where few dare to tread," he rasped, his voice carrying the weight of untold stories. Amelia's heart pounded in her chest. I wanted to know the secrets of this place," she stammered. The old cobbler's eyes twinkled, as though he had been waiting for this moment for centuries. "Secrets, my dear, are like threads waiting to be woven into the tapestry of time. Some are meant to remain hidden, while others yearn to be unraveled. And so, in the shadowy depths of Hawthorne's clog shop, secrets intertwined with the haunting melodies of the night. Time seemed to stand still, leaving behind a tale of mystery that would echo through the ages, drawing in those who dared to seek the enigma of Pendle Street. By Donald J. Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. In the heart of Edge End, where ancient trees stood tall and the whispers of the marsh echoed through the air, there dwelled a woodland fay named Lauma. She was the guardian of this enchanted realm, a goddess intertwined with the very essence of trees, marshes, and forests. Her presence was felt in every rustle of leaves and every ripple in the brook. The Edge End brook flowed gently, its waters carrying stories of times long past. It was said that the spirits of the woods and waters, touched by the sorrow of those who had met tragic ends, lingered here. People from nearby towns spoke of the melancholic energy that seemed to seep from the very soil. It was a place where, over the years, troubled souls had chosen to let go, finding solace in the embrace of nature. Lauma, with her delicate wings and luminous aura, watched over the brook, her heart heavy with empathy for those who had met their fate within these woods. She knew each spirit by name, and in the stillness of twilight, she would sing lullabies of peace to ease their restless souls. One moonlit night, a weary traveler named Elan stumbled upon Edge End Brook. Her heart weighed down by the burdens of the world, she felt an inexplicable pull towards this ethereal place. The whispers of the woods seemed to beckon her, and the water's melody called out to her soul. As Elan wandered deeper into the forest, she was met by the glow of Lauma's presence. The Fae, with eyes like ancient moss, gazed at her with a knowing smile. Without words, they understood one another, for the language of the heart needs no translation. Elan's eyes brimmed with unspoken sorrow, and Lauma, with infinite tenderness, extended a hand. Together, they sat by the brook, the waters murmuring tales of distant lands and forgotten loves. Time seemed to stand still as the Fae and the traveler shared their stories, woven in the tapestry of nature. Under the guidance of Lauma, Elan found solace in the embrace of the woodland spirits. She learned to listen to the wisdom of the trees and the gentle guidance of the marsh. With every passing day, her spirit grew lighter, and her heart found healing in the rhythms of the forest. In time, Elan became a guardian of Edge End herself, a beacon of light for lost souls seeking refuge. Together with Lauma, they nurtured the sacred connection between the realm of the living and the ethereal world beyond. And so, the legend of Lauma, the woodland fae, and the haunted waters of Edge End Brook continued to weave its magic through the ages, offering solace and sanctuary to all who sought the wisdom of the trees and the whispers of the marsh. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. In the heart of Nelson, Lancashire, where the bitter winds danced with the falling snow, 3 dedicated men braved the unforgiving winter elements. Bob Berry, Walter Hardman, and Clifford Smith were the unsung heroes of the Nelson Council, entrusted with the daunting task of keeping the roads clear in the face of a relentless winter. Clifford Smith, a seasoned driver with years of experience, guided the council's sturdy salt-spreading wagon through the treacherous, snow-covered roads. His hands firmly gripped the wheel as he navigated the icy terrain, determination etched on his weathered face. Meanwhile, perched on the back of the wagon, Bob Berry and Walter Hardman worked tirelessly, shoveling salt onto the frozen roads. The biting cold did little to deter their resolve as they methodically spread the grit, ensuring that every inch of the road received its protective layer against the icy grip of winter. The air was filled with the rhythmic sound of shovels biting into the frozen ground, and the occasional hum of the wagon's engine. The snowfall intensified, creating a serene yet challenging landscape for the trio. The wind howled, whipping through their jackets, but they pressed on, driven by a sense of duty to their community. As the night fell, the trio became silhouettes against the stark white backdrop, their breath visible in the cold air. The glow of the streetlights reflected off the glistening snow, creating an ethereal scene as the men continued their relentless battle against nature. The camaraderie among them was unspoken but palpable. They shared knowing glances, acknowledging the difficulty of their task but finding strength in their collective effort. Each shovel of salt represented a small victory against the wintry onslaught, and they found solace in the knowledge that their hard work would ensure the safety of their fellow townspeople. The frosty nights turned into equally challenging days, with the trio working tirelessly to keep the roads passable. Their dedication was a testament to the spirit of community and the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. As the sun finally broke through the clouds one frosty morning, revealing a town cloaked in a pristine blanket of snow, the trio surveyed their handiwork. The roads, once buried under the weight of winter, now stood clear and navigable. Exhausted but satisfied, Bob Berry, Walter Hardman, and Clifford Smith shared a nod of accomplishment, knowing that their relentless efforts had made a difference in the lives of those they served. And so, the three councilmen, the silent guardians of Nelson, Lancashire, continued their unyielding battle against the winter chill, knowing that as long as the snow fell, they would be there, gritting and salting, ensuring that the roads remained open and the community safe. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. In the heart of Pendle, Lancashire, nestled amidst rolling hills and ancient forests, stood a tree unlike any other. Its gnarled branches reached out to touch the sky, veiled in a perpetual shroud of mist, as if guarding its secrets from the world. Locals knew it by two names, the Wisdom Tree, for those who sought its guidance, and the Witch Tree, for the dark history that hung over it like a shadow. Legend had it that in the year 517, a malevolent force had swept through the land, emanating from an enigmatic figure known as the Blood Queen, Vivienne Nimue. She had wielded powers beyond mortal understanding, and in a bid for dominion, she had unleashed a terrible plague upon England. Panic and despair spread like wildfire, threatening to consume the very soul of the land. Yet, fate had its own designs. King Arthur, a beacon of hope, rose to face the looming darkness. With the fabled Excalibur clutched in his hand, he stood against the Blood Queen's malevolence. It was a battle that shook the very foundations of the earth, a battle between light and darkness, between good and unspeakable evil. Gaynada, a member of the coven once loyal to the Blood Queen, had seen the devastation wrought by her hand. Torn between loyalty and a growing sense of responsibility, she had made a choice that would alter the course of history. With an act of courage that would echo through the ages, she turned against her former queen, aiding King Arthur in the climactic battle. With a strike that rang through the ages, Excalibur severed the Blood Queen's hold over the land, dismantling her dark power and scattering her remains far and wide. King Arthur, weary but triumphant, sought to ensure that such evil could never rise again. He commanded that the remnants of the Blood Queen be scattered across England, burying her dark legacy in the very soil she sought to conquer. The act was one of finality, an exorcism of malevolence that left an indelible mark on the land. In the aftermath, a curious transformation overcame the site where the Blood Queen's dark reign had met its end. The tree that stood witness to that climactic battle seemed to absorb the residual energy, becoming a beacon of wisdom and purity. It became a living testament to the triumph of good over evil. Word of the tree's transformation spread far and wide. Those with hearts untainted by malice, those who sought wisdom with pure intentions, found themselves drawn to the enigmatic presence in Pendle. The tree, wreathed in an invisible mist, stood as a guardian and a guide, revealing its secrets only to the wise and the good. And so, through the ages, the legend of the Wisdom Tree endured a silent sentinel, a source of solace and guidance for those who ventured to seek it. It remained a reminder that even in the darkest hours, light could prevail, and that true wisdom was born not of power, but of a pure and noble heart. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle, Grey. In the quaint village of Croston, nestled amidst the rolling English countryside, there existed a legend whispered in hushed tones around crackling fires and over pints of ale. The locals spoke of the Grey Lady, a spectral apparition that seemed to wander the narrow lanes, an enigma woven into the very fabric of the village. No one knew her origin or her story, She was but a fleeting glimpse, a spectral figure draped in an ethereal shroud of mist and shadow. Her presence was felt along the winding Southport Road and the quiet Highfield Road, leaving those who crossed her path with a chill down their spines and a question in their hearts. One misty autumn evening, as the amber leaves danced in the fading light, young Thomas, a curious lad with an adventurous spirit, found himself drawn to the mystery of the Grey Lardy. Armed with nothing but an old lantern and the tails of his forebears, he set out along Southport Road, his footsteps crunching on the fallen leaves. As the night deepened, and the moon cast its silver glow upon the land, Thomas beheld a sight that would forever be etched into his memory. There, in the heart of the village hedge, stood the figure of the Grey Lardy. Her form was translucent, a wisp of melancholy in the night. Her eyes, though vacant, held a silent sorrow that tugged at Thomas's heart. She seemed to be waiting, longing for something lost to time. The air grew colder around him, and yet, he felt an inexplicable warmth emanating from the spectre. Without uttering a word, the Grey Lady turned and glided away, leaving Thomas with a sense of both awe and trepidation. He knew then that this was no ordinary ghost. Her story, a tapestry woven with threads of longing and mystery, beckoned him. Days turned to weeks, and Thomas's fascination with the Grey Lady only grew. He sought her out along Highfield Road, finding her seated on a weathered bench, gazing into the distance. She appeared more tangible here, as though the veil between their worlds was thinner. As the seasons changed, so did Thomas's determination to unravel the enigma that was the Grey Lardy. He delved into the village archives, seeking any trace of her existence. Old letters, faded photographs, and cryptic entries in yellow journals spoke of a woman lost in time, a love unfulfilled, and a tragedy that had left her wandering the mortal realm. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Thomas returned to Highfield Road one fateful evening. The air was thick with anticipation, a sense that destiny hung in the balance. As he approached the bench, the Grey Lady turned her gaze toward him, and for the first time, there was a glimmer of recognition in her eyes. With trembling hands, Thomas extended an old locket he had discovered in his research. The pendant held a miniature portrait of a dashing young man. His eyes filled with the same longing that now haunted the Grey Lady's gaze. A tear, crystalline and filled with emotion, slipped down her translucent cheek. In that moment, Thomas understood. The locket was a key, a bridge between worlds. The Grey Lady's story yearned to be told, her heartache acknowledged. As the first light of dawn painted the horizon, the Grey Lady's form began to fade, but her spirit seemed lighter, unburdened. With a final, grateful glance, she dissolved into the mist, leaving T.H. Chalmers with a sense of fulfillment and a tale to be passed down through the ages. The legend of the Grey Lady would live on, not as a haunting spectre, but as a soul whose story had found its ending, thanks to a curious young man who dared to uncover the mysteries of the past. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. It's magic mushroom time. Pick stew with coffee and drink. Enjoy this gift by Mother Nature. Blow your mind, have fun. Title: The Enchanted Harvest. Once upon a time, in the heart of a lush, ancient forest, there was a small village nestled among the trees. The villagers were known for their deep connection to nature and the mystical gifts it bestowed upon them. Every year, on the eve of the harvest moon, they would gather to celebrate the bountiful magic that Mother Nature provided. This year was particularly special, for the legends spoke of a rare and powerful gift hidden within the heart of the forest. The magic mushrooms, a gift that only appeared once in a generation, were said to possess unimaginable wonders. As the harvest moon rose, casting an ethereal glow upon the villagers set out on their quest to find these enchanted mushrooms. Guided by the ancient wisdom passed down through generations, they moved silently through the underbrush, their senses attuned to the whispers of the forest. Deep in the heart of the woods, nestled beneath the canopy of towering ancient oaks, the first glimmer of magic appeared, A cluster of mushrooms, their caps aglow with an otherworldly light, seemed to beckon the villagers closer. With great care, they gathered the mushrooms, their fingers tingling with the energy that emanated from them. They knew that these mushrooms were no ordinary fungi, they were a gift from Mother Nature herself. Returning to the villagers prepared a feast fit for kings and queens. The mushrooms were carefully woven into a rich, aromatic stew, complemented by wild herbs and roots gathered from the forest floor. The air filled with the tantalizing scent, promising a taste of the extraordinary. The feast was spread beneath the ancient oak tree at the heart of the village, its branches reaching out as if to bless the celebration. The villagers gathered around, their faces lit with anticipation and wonder. As the first spoonful of the magical stew touched their lips, a wave of enchantment washed over them. Colors seemed brighter, sounds more melodious, and the very air hummed with a vibrant energy. Each bite was a revelation, a taste of nature's most profound secrets. To accompany the stew, the villagers brewed a rich, velvety coffee infused with herbs and spices from the forest. Its warmth spread through their bodies, intertwining with the magic of the mushrooms, creating a sensation that was both grounding and transcendent. Laughter filled the air, and the villagers' spirits soared as they reveled in the gift bestowed upon them. The forest seemed to come alive, its creatures joining in the celebration, drawn by the joyous energy that pulsed through the village. As the night wore on, the moon high in the sky, the villagers danced and sang, their hearts intertwined with the rhythms of the forest. Time seemed to blur, and they lost themselves in the enchantment of the moment. And so, under the watchful gaze of the ancient oak, the villagers celebrated the magic mushroom harvest, a gift from Mother Nature that had woven its magic into their souls. They knew that this night would live on in their hearts forever, a testament to the profound connection between humanity and the wild, untamed beauty of the natural world. By Donald J. Have you ever eaten roadkill in the UK? The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. It's not illegal to eat roadkill provided the animal has been run over unintentionally and hasn't been sold for consumption. There is plenty of roadkill around Pendle Hill in Lancashire. I have eaten grouse, pheasant, rabbit, and much more over the years. It's never killed me yet. 73. Donald was a man of peculiar tastes, to say the least. Living near Pendle Hill in Lancashire, he had developed a unique way of sourcing his meals. For Donald, the notion of scavenging for roadkill was more than just a curious hobby, it was a way of life. He knew the law well. It was perfectly legal to consume roadkill, as long as the animal met certain criteria. It had to be a result of an unintentional collision, and it couldn't have been sold for consumption. Armed with this knowledge, Donald saw a culinary opportunity where most would see a tragic accident. Over the years, Donald had dined on a menagerie of critters that had met their untimely end on the roads around Pendle Hill. Grouse, pheasant, rabbit, these were just some of the creatures that had found their way onto Donald's eclectic menu. He had mastered the art of preparing them, turning what would be considered waste by most into delectable dishes. His friends and family were a mixture of curious and incredulous. Some dared to try his creations, while others couldn't quite bring themselves to do so. But Donald was undeterred. He knew the value of a good, free meal, and he took pride in his ability to turn tragedy into sustenance. For him, it was a matter of principle. Why let perfectly good meat go to waste when there were mouths to feed? He saw himself as a kind of modern-day hunter-gatherer, scavenging the roads instead of the forests. And it seemed to be working for him. Despite his unconventional dining habits, Donald was a picture of health, a living testament to the fact that his culinary exploits hadn't yet killed him yet, as he liked to say with a wry grin. As the seasons changed and the landscape around Pendle Hill transformed, Donald continued his peculiar pursuit. He became something of a local legend, known for his unorthodox approach to sourcing sustenance. and while not everyone understood or appreciated his methods, there was a certain wisdom in Donald's philosophy. He knew that in the grand scheme of things, life and death were intertwined, and that sometimes, the line between tragedy and opportunity was finer than one might think. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. J. H. Dewhurst Butchers, Nelson, Lancashire. Donald was an apprentice butcher, and the one thing he hated was trying to clean the bacon slicer at the end of the day. Donald, though it was big and sharp, he was scared he'd cut his fingers or his hands by this big red evil machine. J. H. Dewhurst Butchers, nestled in the heart of Nelson, Lancashire, was a place steeped in tradition. The air was always thick with the savoury scent of smoked meats and freshly cut steaks. Donald, a young and eager apprentice, had embarked on this journey with a mix of excitement and trepidation. Each day, he stood behind the worn wooden counter, his white apron a testament to his dedication. He watched in awe as Mr. Thompson, the seasoned master butcher, effortlessly carved prime cuts with precision and skill. Mr. Hunt was a gruff man, his hands calloused from years of labor, but beneath the tough exterior, he held a wealth of knowledge he was willing to impart. As the sun dipped below the Lancashire hills, casting long shadows over the cobblestone streets, it was time for Donald to face his nemesis, the bacon slicer. The machine stood in the corner, a hulking red monstrosity, its blades gleaming malevolently. Donald approached it with a mixture of determination and anxiety. He carefully inspected the contraption, the various knobs and levers, trying to summon the courage to operate it. His hands trembled as he thought about the stories he'd heard of careless butchers losing fingers to its hungry maw. The rhythmic thud of his heart matched the hum of the machine, creating a symphony of apprehension. With a deep breath, Donald tentatively switched on the slicer. The blades whirred to life, and he gingerly fed a slab of bacon into its jaws. As it began to slice, he watched with wide-eyed fascination, his fingers hovering just out of reach. Mr. Thompson, sensing Donald's unease, approached with a reassuring smile. "Don't worry, lad," he said in his gravelly voice. "Respect the machine, and it'll serve you well. It's a powerful tool, but it won't bite if you handle it right." Encouraged by the words of his mentor, Donald began to find a rhythm. He adjusted the thickness of the slices, guided the meat through the blades, and gradually gained confidence in his movements. The once menacing machine became a partner in his work, a reliable ally in the art of butchery. As days turned into weeks, Donald's proficiency with the bacon slicer grew. He no longer viewed it with trepidation, but rather with a sense of camaraderie. The machine that once seemed like an insurmountable obstacle had become a testament to his growth and determination. Word spread through Nelson of the apprentice who tamed the infamous bacon slicer. Customers came from far and wide, eager to witness Donald's deft handiwork. His reputation as a skilled butcher began to take root, and he wore it like a badge of honor. Years passed, and Donald eventually took over the reins of J.H. Dewhurst Butchers. He looked at the bacon slicer, now a weathered companion, with a sense of gratitude. It had been a formidable adversary that had transformed into a trusted friend, a symbol of his journey from uncertainty to mastery. In the end, Donald learned that sometimes, the things that intimidate us the most can become our greatest allies. With patience, respect, and a willingness to face our fears, we can turn even the most daunting challenges into stepping stones toward success. And so, in the small Lancashire town of Nelson, the legend of Donald, the apprentice who conquered the bacon slicer, lived on, a testament to the power of determination and the camaraderie between a butcher and his machine. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Long Preston and the Maypole and the Devil's Children. In the quiet village of Long Preston, nestled between the towns of Skipton and Settle, there lay a peculiar tradition that unfolded every 1st of May. As the clock struck 1 minute past 12, the atmosphere in the village shifted. It was as if the very air thickened, carrying with it an otherworldly presence. This was the hour when the maypole dancing commenced. But there was an air of mystery that surrounded this event. Locals spoke of it in hushed whispers, half in awe and half in fear. They said that on this night, the devil's children emerged from the shadows, taking the form of small, sinister figures with eyes that gleamed with a wicked light. These devilish children would gather around the maypole, a relic of ancient customs, bedecked with ribbons and garlands. Their laughter, high and eerie, would punctuate the night, sending shivers down the spines of those who dared to listen. As the night wore on, the villagers claimed that the malevolent revelry attracted even darker entities. Goblins slunk from their hideaways, drawn by the unholy celebration. Boggarts, with their mischievous grins, joined in the macabre dance, while the elusive and ethereal fae flitted through the trees, adding a touch of magic to the sinister affair. The maypole itself seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, as if it were a bridge between realms, connecting the mortal world to the hidden one. The ribbons wound around it took on a life of their own, weaving and twirling in a wicked ballet. Amongst the chaos, there were whispers of ancient pacts and deals, of bargains struck beneath the silver light of the moon. It was said that those who witnessed the devil's children and their ghastly companions were forever changed, marked by the experience. Yet, as the first light of dawn began to break, the eerie procession would fade away, leaving the village of Long Preston in an uneasy stillness. The mayhem and malevolence vanished, as if it had never been. In the following days, the villagers would return to their routines, their memories of that unholy night shrouded in a fog of disbelief. They would go about their business, quietly ignoring the strange occurrences, trying to convince themselves that it was all but a fevered dream. But there, in the hearts of the villagers, lingered a silent understanding. They knew that the devil's children and their ghastly companions would return, as they always did, every 1st of May, to dance around the maypole, leaving behind an indelible mark on Long Preston, and its history forever intertwined with the realm of the supernatural. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Mummy location Droylsden, private residence along Chestnut Avenue. Title, Whispers of the Past. In the quiet town of Droylsden, nestled along Chestnut Avenue, stood a private residence that held a secret. It was a house with a history, one that went beyond the bricks and mortar that formed its structure. The year was 2009, and the air in the town seemed to carry a subtle unease. Inside the walls of this unassuming home, strange occurrences had become all too familiar. Each night, as the clock struck midnight, the air grew heavy with whispers and echoes. The occupants, a young family with 2 children, would huddle together in their beds, hearts pounding in their chests, as the house came to life with eerie sounds. "Mummy," a voice would call out, soft and plaintive, its source shrouded in darkness. The children would clutch their sheets, wide-eyed, unsure if the voice belonged to some restless spirit or merely the creaking of old wood settling under the weight of the night. And then there were the growls, a guttural, menacing sound that seemed to reverberate through the very foundation of the house. It sent shivers down spines, leaving no doubt that something otherworldly lurked in the shadows. As the nights wore on, the family grew more apprehensive, each evening bringing fresh dread. They sought answers, delving into the history of the house, but the secrets held within its walls were buried deep, obscured by layers of time. One fateful night, as the clock struck 12, and the whispers grew more insistent, a vision manifested above the bed. A spectral figure, pale and ethereal, hovered in the air, bathed in an eerie light that seemed to emanate from within. The family's breath caught in their throats, the air thick with a mixture of awe and terror. They dared not blink, lest the apparition vanish as suddenly as it appeared. The figure, a woman in a long, flowing gown, gazed down upon them with sad, longing eyes. Her presence was at once comforting and disconcerting, as if she were a lost soul seeking solace in the company of the living. In that moment, a name formed in the minds of the family members, whispered by the very essence of the apparition, Eliza. With newfound purpose, they delved deeper into the history of the house, determined to uncover the truth about Eliza. Their search led them to a forgotten diary, tucked away in the attic, its pages filled with the musings and sorrows of a woman long gone. Eliza, it seemed, was a mother who had lost her children in a tragic accident, a pain so profound that it lingered even in death. Her restless spirit had sought solace within the walls of the house, her voice and presence forever imprinted on its time-worn fabric. Armed with this newfound knowledge, the family set out to find a way to ease Eliza's eternal torment. Through a series of rituals and heartfelt prayers, they reached out to her, offering a glimmer of hope and a promise of peace. Slowly, as the days turned into weeks, the haunting manifestations began to subside. The growls grew fainter, and the whispers grew softer, until, at last, they ceased altogether. In the quiet town of Droylsden, along Chestnut Avenue, a house once burdened with the weight of its spectral tenant found a measure of tranquility. Eliza's spirit, no longer bound by grief and longing, found release, leaving behind a sense of serenity that settled into the very bones of the old home. And so, the house stood, its walls no longer echoing with the cries of a tormented soul, but instead, cradling the memory of a mother's love that had transcended even the boundaries of life and death. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Lancashire. Nelson, Lancashire. On a Friday my dad would hang a fish on the hook on back of door. And we'd line up to wipe it down with a slice of bread. If you'd been good you got the crust as an extra treat. Title, The Fishy Friday Fiasco. Once upon a time in the quaint town of Nelson, Lancashire, there lived a family known for their quirky traditions. The Lancashires were a peculiar bunch, but none of their customs were as eccentric as their beloved, Fishy Friday. Every Friday, without fail, Mr. Lancashire, a jolly man with a twinkle in his eye, would hang a fish on a hook on the back of the door. It was an odd sight, but it had become a cherished ritual in the Lancashire household. As the sun began to set on a particularly fishy Friday, the Lancashire children, Tommy, Sally, and little Timmy, gathered in the hallway, eagerly awaiting their turn to participate in the bizarre tradition. They held slices of bread in their tiny hands, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. Tommy, the eldest, was known for his mischievous grin and boundless energy. He couldn't wait to take his turn. "I'm gonna give that fish a good scrubbing," he declared with a mischievous glint in his eye. Sally, the middle child, was a kind-hearted soul with a penchant for making everyone laugh. She held her slice of bread like a pro, ready to give the fish the best cleaning it had ever seen. Little Timmy, the youngest and most innocent of the bunch, clutched his bread slice tightly. He looked up at his siblings with wide-eyed wonder, eager to join in on the fishy fun. With a flourish, Mr. Lancashire opened the door, revealing the fish swaying gently on the hook. The children couldn't contain their excitement as they lined up, each taking their turn to give the fish a good wipe with their bread. Tommy went first, attacking the fish with gusto, crumbs flying in all directions. He was determined to be the best fish cleaner in the family. Sally followed suit, giggling as she meticulously cleaned every nook and cranny. Then came little Timmy's turn. With all the seriousness of a seasoned fish cleaning professional, he approached the task at hand. He gave the fish a gentle pat, as if offering his condolences for the indignity it was enduring. As Timmy finished his turn, he turned to his father with a look of pure innocence. "Can I have the crust, please?" Mr. Lancashire chuckled heartily and handed Timmy the coveted crust. Timmy's face lit up with joy, his eyes sparkling with gratitude. With the fish now sparkling clean, the Lancashire children couldn't contain their laughter. They had turned a peculiar tradition into a hilarious family bonding experience. From that day on, Fishy Friday became not just a tradition, but a cherished memory they would laugh about for years to come. And so, in the quirky town of Nelson, Lancashire, the Lancashire family continued their Fishy Friday tradition, knowing that it wasn't just about cleaning a fish, but about creating precious moments of laughter and love that would last a lifetime. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Donald had always dreamed of a job that would take him places, but little did he know that being a Northwest gas meter inspector in the Burnley area would come with its own set of challenges. His days were filled with visits to homes, each one bringing a new adventure. However, the excitement often turned to dread when he encountered the things he despised the most. Dirty homes became a regular sight, some with cellars that seemed to be the designated dumping ground for dog waste, smelly urine, and used sanitary towels. One particular house left an indelible mark on Donald's memory. The stench of dog feces permeated every corner, making it a challenge to even breathe. As he navigated through the mess, he couldn't help but wonder how people could live in such conditions. Dogs, too, added to the daily challenges. Some homes were not only dirty but also inhabited by aggressive dogs. Donald and his colleagues often found themselves fending off bites as they tried to inspect gas meters. The once exciting job now felt like a hazardous adventure. The weather in the Burnley area didn't make things any easier. On bitterly cold days, holding a pencil became a struggle, and the biting wind seemed to penetrate every layer of clothing. Donald and his fellow inspectors soldiered on, their determination overcoming the harsh weather. To add insult to injury, some homeowners blamed the inspectors for issues beyond their control. Arguments would ensue, with people insisting that the gas meter inspection somehow caused their problems. Donald and his colleagues had to develop thick skins to weather the verbal storms. One of the most cumbersome aspects of the job was lugging around a heavy bag full of money collected from customers. The responsibility of ensuring the safe transport of these funds added a physical burden to an already challenging profession. Walking for miles from one inspection site to another, Donald felt the weight on his shoulders both metaphorically and literally. Despite the hardships, there were moments of camaraderie among the inspectors. They shared stories of the most bizarre homes they had visited and the wildest encounters with dogs. These shared experiences became a source of resilience, helping them find humor in the midst of adversity. Donald's days as a Northwest gas meter inspector in the Burnley area were a roller coaster of challenges and unexpected moments. Yet, through it all, he learned to appreciate the small victories and the camaraderie of his fellow inspectors, making each day a unique chapter in his unconventional career. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Northwest Gas Poem. In the land of Northwest Gas, a tale unfolds, a meter reader wanders, stories yet untold. Through towns and countryside, for miles on end, emptying meters, a diligent gas friend. In spectacles perched on a curious nose, the inspector reads, where the gas flow goes. A dance with digits, a meter's song, in the realm of numbers, where they belong. Gas fitters join, craftsmen with a skill, installing ovens, a purpose to fulfill. Fridges hum with a cool, rhythmic beat, central heating warmth, a comfort sweet. In the heart of homes, where hearths align, a gas flame dances, a warmth divine. The fitter's hands, like poets, create a symphony of comfort, a cozy fate. Yet, beneath the streets, a different scene. Gas navs toil where pipes have been. Digging and repairing, with sleeves rolled high, in the earth's embrace, where pipelines lie. The streets bear witness to their labor's trace, a subterranean ballet, a hidden grace. For in the tapestry of Northwest Gas, each role plays on, a harmonious mass. So, here's to the readers and the fitters bold, to the navs in the streets, strong and cold. In Northwest Gas, a saga profound, a tale of industry, in each gas-bound mound. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Offa Hill near Pendle Hill, Barley in Lancashire. Was in Northumbria. A member of an ancient Mercian ruling family, Offa seized power in the civil war that followed the murder of his cousin, King Ethelbald, reigned 716–757. By ruthlessly suppressing resistance from several small kingdoms in and around Mercia, he created a single state covering most of England south of modern Yorkshire. The lesser kings of this region paid him homage, and he married his daughters to the rulers of Wessex and Northumbria. Amidst the rolling hills of Lancashire, where the ancient whispers of history still lingered, Offa Hill stood tall, a silent sentinel overlooking the land. It bore witness to the ebb and flow of time, and held secrets that stretched back centuries. In the annals of history, Offa, a scion of the Mercian dynasty, emerged as a figure of consequence. Born in a time when the winds of change swept through the kingdoms, he found himself thrust into a tumultuous era. After the tragic demise of his cousin, King Ethelbald, the realm was plunged into civil strife. In that crucible of power, Offa's mettle shone. With unyielding determination, Offa quelled the fires of rebellion that raged across the land. He was a ruler who brooked no dissent, and through force of will, he forged a unified dominion that stretched from the heart of Mercia to the verdant reaches of Northumbria. Kings, once sovereign in their own right, now bowed before Offa, acknowledging his supremacy. They paid homage, their realms bound to the growing tapestry of his kingdom. Offa's vision extended beyond mere conquest. He sought unity, stability, and a legacy that would endure through the ages. In pursuit of this grand design, he wove alliances through the sacred bonds of marriage. His daughters, embodiments of his aspirations, were wed to the rulers of Wessex and Northumbria. These unions were more than mere ceremonies, they were the threads that bound kingdoms together, ensuring a fragile peace in an age of swords and shadows. From his vantage point on Offa Hill, the king surveyed the lands he had wrought into a single, formidable realm. The echoes of battles won, and the whispers of councils convened, danced on the wind. The legacy of Offa's reign etched itself into the very soil, a testament to the indomitable spirit that shaped the destiny of a nation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the landscape, Offa Hill stood as a silent witness to the passing of an era. The story of Offa, the unyielding king who bent the arc of history to his will, echoed through the ages, immortalized in the land itself. And so, the tale of Offa Hill near Pendle Hill, Barley in Lancashire, once nestled in Northumbria, became woven into the fabric of England's history, an enduring testament to the vision and resolve of a ruler who dared to dream of unity in a fractured world. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Poem Spam Luncheon Meat. In aisles of tin, a mystery unfolds, a can, unassuming, its story untold. Wrapped in its label, a promise so sweet, lies the curious tale of Spam Luncheon Meat. A medley of flavors, a blend of delight, a culinary oddity, a curious sight. Born from the kitchen, a wartime feat, a taste of nostalgia, in each savory treat. Pink and processed, a curious hue, yet cherished by many, by old and by new. Fried in a skillet, or served in a stew, its versatility knows no bounds, it's true. From islands afar to kitchens so near, Spam finds its way, year after year. A taste of tradition, a memory complete, in the world of canned meats, it can't be beat. So here's to the Spam, the unsung delight, a pantry companion, a curious sight. In poems and verses, its praises we'll greet, for the humble luncheon meat, ever sweet. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Remember the 5th of November. We took the guy to the town centre. Donald J., Anthony and Neville Lockwood, David Valentine. We made our bonfire guy and tried to make a bit of money for fireworks. In Nelson and Lancashire, Remember the 5th of November, a night steeped in history and tradition. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the cobbled streets, a group of friends gathered in the heart of the town centre. Among them were Donald J., Anthony, Neville Lockwood, and David Valentine, bound together by a shared purpose. They had a plan, one that involved a humble figure named Guy. Crafted from old clothes and stuffed with straw, he sat atop a makeshift throne of discarded boxes. His face, though worn and tattered, bore a mischievous grin that seemed to promise a night of revelry and excitement. The townsfolk bustled about, their breath visible in the crisp autumn air. Children's laughter mingled with the calls of street vendors hawking their wares. The scent of roasted chestnuts and spiced cider wafted through the air, a tantalizing invitation to indulge in the warmth of the season. The group, their breath-forming clouds in the chill, set up their makeshift stand beside Guy. A sign proclaimed their mission: help us light up the night. Buy a firework and make Guy Fawkes proud. It was an endeavor born of youthful exuberance, a desire to add a bit of sparkle and bang to the night's festivities. As the evening wore on, the townspeople began to take notice. They marveled at the group's ingenuity and dedication, charmed by the spirit of camaraderie that radiated from them. Coins clinked into a tin bucket, a testament to the community's willingness to partake in the celebration. As the hours passed, the group's earnings grew. The tin bucket grew heavy with the weight of coins, each one a promise of colorful explosions and bright lights that would soon fill the night sky. Guy, in his ragtag glory, sat silently but proudly, the embodiment of a centuries-old tradition. Finally, the time came to light the bonfire. The group gathered around, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. The crackling of the fire seemed to echo the excitement that coursed through the crowd. With a collective cheer, they set off their fireworks, sending showers of sparks and vibrant streaks of color into the night. Donald J., Anthony, Neville Lockwood, and David Valentine stood side by side, their hearts filled with a sense of accomplishment. They had not only captured the spirit of Guy Fawkes but had also woven their own chapter into the rich tapestry of tradition. As the embers danced in the dark, they looked at each other, smiles etched upon their faces. They knew that this night, this moment, would forever be etched in their memories. For on this 5th of November, they had kindled not only a bonfire but also a bond that would endure through the ages. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. In between Raleigh, Blacko and Barrowford was the Otherstone where the sword in the stone was placed by Merlin the wizard. The stone is no more, it has been taken away in the past and lost in time. In the heart of Lancashire, nestled between the quaint villages of Raleigh, Blacko, and Barrowford, lay a place steeped in legend and mystery, the Otherstone. It was said that this ancient stone held within its rugged embrace the legendary sword of King Arthur, placed there by the enigmatic Merlin the wizard. Generations passed, and the Otherstone became a beacon of folklore, drawing curious souls from near and far. They came in search of the fabled blade, hoping to pull it from the stone and claim their destiny. But time had been unkind, and the stone had stood sentinel for centuries, unwilling to yield its treasure. Then, one fateful night, a shadowy figure emerged from the mist, a modern-day adventurer armed not with a sword, but with knowledge and determination. His name was Samuel, an archaeologist with a passion for unraveling the mysteries of the past. He had spent years, studying ancient texts and deciphering cryptic clues, all leading him to this hallowed ground. Samuel stood before the Otherstone, his heart pounding with anticipation. The moon cast an eerie glow on the weathered rock, illuminating its contours. He reached out, his fingers tracing the grooves and imperfections that marked its surface. With a deep breath, Samuel closed his eyes and summoned the echoes of time. He imagined Merlin, clad in robes of starlight, whispering incantations to bind the sword to the stone. The wind seemed to carry the faintest traces of magic, And for a moment, Samuel believed. Summoning all his strength, he grasped the hilt of the sword, bracing himself for the challenge. He pulled, muscles straining, but the blade remained steadfast, unmoving. Disheartened but not defeated, Samuel knew he couldn't give up. He delved deeper into his research, seeking forgotten tales and hidden truths. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, until at last, a breakthrough emerged from the dusty annals of history. It spoke of a rift in time, a moment when the other stone had been spirited away, lost to the ages. Samuel's heart quickened. This was the key, the missing piece that held the secret to the sword's release. Armed with newfound knowledge, Samuel embarked on a quest to locate the lost relic. His journey took him to ancient libraries, crumbling ruins, and forgotten chambers. He navigated treacherous terrain and faced trials that tested his resolve. At long last, deep within the heart of a forgotten forest, Samuel stumbled upon the elusive artifact, the stone that once held the sword of King Arthur. It was weathered and worn, bearing the weight of centuries. With reverence, Samuel returned to the other stone, the lost relic cradled in his arms. He placed it within the stone's hollow, aligning the ancient engravings. The air seemed to hum with energy, and a gentle tremor ran through the earth. As the first light of dawn painted the sky, Samuel once again grasped the hilt of the sword. This time, it yielded to his touch, gliding free from its stony prison. The blade gleamed in the morning light, a symbol of a legend reborn. Samuel had unlocked the secrets of the other stone, bridging the gap between past and present. With reverence for the legacy he held in his hands, he vowed to carry the sword forward, a guardian of the ancient tale, a beacon of hope for generations yet to come. Poem. In Lancashire's embrace, where legends intertwine, twixt Raleigh, Blacko, Barrowford, a tale of old enshrined. The other stone, a relic bold, with secrets deep entwined, where Merlin's hand, with mystic might, the sword in stone did bind. Through ages past, it stood its ground, a sentinel so fine, its weathered face, a silent sage, witnessed fleeting time. Yet fate would weave a twist of woe, a theft, a crime, the stone, now lost in history's grasp, a treasure no longer thine. O other stone, in shadows now, your legacy defined, by whispered echoes in the wind, by stars that brightly shine. Though gone from mortal sight and touch, in memory you shine, a beacon for the brave of heart, a tale for all of kind. So let us ponder mysteries, in history's ancient rhyme, and seek the truths that lie within, beyond the bounds of time. For Merlin's magic still prevails, in every heartfelt chime, and in our dreams, the other stone, forever shall it climb. By Donald J. The Random Jotting of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Rustling Woman. Location: Droylsden, Ashton Hill Lane. Title: The Rustling Woman of Ashton Hill Lane. In the small town of Droylsden, nestled among the rolling hills, there was a road shrouded in mystery and whispered tales. Ashton Hill Lane, they called it, where the air seemed to carry the weight of secrets untold. It was said that on moonless nights, when the world held its breath, the rustling woman would emerge from the shadows. The townsfolk spoke of her in hushed tones, uncertain if she was a restless spirit or a figment of imagination. Some claimed to have seen her in the dead of night, a spectral figure draped in dark, billowing fabric. Others spoke of a radiant presence, clad in luminous white. It was a puzzle that befuddled even the most skeptical minds. Ashton Hill Lane, though beautiful by day, turned into an eerie passage under the cloak of darkness. Trees arched overhead, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The winding road seemed to stretch endlessly, disappearing into the heart of the unknown. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and shadows grew long, a brave soul named Thomas set out to uncover the truth behind the rustling woman. Armed with nothing but a lantern and a heart full of curiosity, He ventured into the heart of Ashton Hill Lane. The air grew chilly, and the night was punctuated by the distant call of an owl. Thomas's footsteps echoed, the sound muffled by the thick carpet of fallen leaves. He walked on, undeterred by the encroaching darkness, driven by a thirst for knowledge. And then, as if summoned by his presence, a soft rustling emerged from the depths of the forest. His heart quickened, and he tightened his grip on the lantern. The forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the mysterious apparition to reveal itself. Suddenly, there she was, emerging from the shadows. The rustling woman, her form ethereal, drifted towards Thomas. Her garments billowed around her, alternating between shades of inky black and shimmering white. Her face was veiled, her eyes hidden in the depths of her enigma. "Who are you?" Thomas mustered the courage to ask, his voice barely above a whisper. The woman did not respond, but her presence spoke volumes. There was a sorrow about her, a longing that seemed to stretch across ages. Thomas could feel it, like a weight pressing down on his chest. He took a step closer, compelled by an inexplicable force. The woman's presence seemed to envelop him, drawing him into her world of mystery and melancholy. As the night wore on, Thomas and the rustling woman stood in silent communion. It was a moment suspended in time, where the boundaries between the living and the spectral blurred. When the first light of dawn began to pierce the horizon, the rustling woman began to fade, her form dissipating like morning mist. Thomas watched, a mixture of awe and sorrow filling his heart. From that day forward, Ashton Hill Lane held a different meaning for Thomas. It was no longer just a road, but a bridge to another realm, a place where the past intertwined with the present. The townsfolk continued to speak of the rustling woman, their voices filled with wonder and trepidation. She remained an enigma, a haunting manifestation that defied explanation. And Ashton Hill Lane, forever steeped in mystery, became a testament to the inexplicable wonders that linger just beyond the veil of understanding. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Title: Shadows of Card Die Works. Barrowford. In the small Lancashire town of Barrowford, nestled near Nelson just past Victoria Park, there once stood a towering structure known as Card Die Works. This formidable edifice had been a cornerstone of the community for generations, its walls steeped in the history of hard-working souls who toiled within its walls. Time had not been kind to Card Die Works, and now, it existed only in echoes and memories, for its once mighty walls had crumbled, leaving behind a ghostly outline against the horizon. The town's children whispered tales of the restless spirits of the old workers, their phantom footsteps still echoing through the night. Amongst these shadows, there was said to be one elusive figure known as the Boggart. Mysterious and mischievous, the Boggart was as much a part of the legend as the die works itself. Some said he was a spirit, others claimed he was a living person, but none could say for certain. On a chilly October evening, as the sun dipped low in the sky and the last traces of light clung desperately to the horizon, a group of curious souls gathered near the remnants of Card Die Works. Among them was Sarah, a young woman with a penchant for adventure and an insatiable curiosity about the supernatural. Armed with flashlights and trembling excitement, they ventured forth into the heart of the ruins. The air grew thick with a palpable tension, as if the very essence of the past clung to the stones beneath their feet. Whispers of the workers seemed to fill the air, their spectral presence felt in every creaking floorboard and rustling leaf. Sarah could almost hear their voices, echoing through time, telling tales of days long gone. As the night deepened, a peculiar sensation settled over the group. Shadows danced in the corners of their vision, and the air grew cold and heavy. Then, a soft voice echoed from the darkness, barely more than a whisper. "Who goes there?" it called, a mixture of curiosity and caution. Startled, the group turned to find an ethereal figure emerging from the ruins. He was a man, or at least he appeared to be, dressed in tattered clothing of a bygone era. His eyes gleamed with an otherworldly light, and his voice held an eerie resonance. "I am the Bogart," he declared, a sly grin playing at the corners of his lips. "I've watched over this place for longer than you can imagine." Sarah's heart raced, her mind torn between awe and trepidation. The Bogart was real, a living embodiment of the legends that had captivated her imagination for so long. "Why do you haunt this place?" she asked, her voice trembling. The Bogart's gaze softened, and he looked out at the ruins with a mixture of sorrow and nostalgia. "I was once a worker here, like those restless souls you sense. We poured our sweat and tears into this place, and now our spirits remain, bound to the memories of our labor." He gestured towards the ruins, the moonlight casting long, eerie shadows. "And the Bogart? He's but a guardian, a protector of the legacy we built." As the night wore on, the Bogart shared stories of days long past, of camaraderie and hard work, of dreams woven into every fabric dyed within those walls. Sarah listened, captivated by the history that breathed life into the ghostly figures that now haunted the ruins. With the first light of dawn, the Bogart bid them farewell, vanishing into the mist like a wisp of smoke. Sarah and her companions left the ruins, their hearts heavy with the weight of the stories they had heard. From that day forward, Cardye Works was more than just a crumbling relic, it was a testament to the lives that had once thrived within its walls. The workers and the Bogart, their stories lived on, woven into the very fabric of the town's history, forever haunting the shadows of Barrowford. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. The blackthorn tree, the witch tree, broomstick tree, wand tree. Jesus's crown was made from the blackthorn tree. In shadows deep, where secrets sleep, the blackthorn tree, its vigil keeps. A twisted form, a tale untold, its roots sink deep, its branches bold. The witch tree, with magic's sway, a realm where spells and potions play. Whispers ride upon the breeze, beneath its boughs, enchantment sees. Broomstick tree, oh soaring high, to distant realms, you touch the sky. With wisps of straw and bristles fine, you sweep through realms of space and time. Wand tree, source of power true, in sorcerer's hand, a force to strew. Its core imbued with ancient might, it bends the weave of day and night. From thorns that grew on sacred ground, a crown for him, the thorns were bound. Jesus' brow, a wreath of pain, yet through that thorn, new life did gain. So in the heart of darkest night, the blackthorn tree stands strong and tight. A symbol of both pain and grace, in every soul, a sacred space. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. The Curate's Wife. In the quaint village of Didsbury, nestled amidst the rolling hills of England, there stood an old parsonage that housed a tale as chilling as the winds that swept through its creaking halls. Long before the late 19th century, in a time shrouded in mystery, there lived a curate and his wife. Their existence was far from idyllic. Whispers of a troubled marriage echoed through the village. It was said that the curate's temper flared like a tempest, and his wife bore the brunt of his wrath. One fateful night, a dreadful event unfolded within the walls of the parsonage. The villagers never knew the full truth, but the curate's wife met her untimely end, her soul departing in sorrow and despair. The curate, guilt-laden and haunted by his actions, vanished before the authorities could inquire. From that moment forth, the parsonage bore the weight of a dark secret, its timbers groaning with the echoes of a tragic past. As the years passed, families dared to move into the cursed dwelling, only to flee in terror shortly thereafter. Strange occurrences plagued the brave souls who dared to call it home. Bells would chime at odd hours, their tones somber and chilling. Footsteps, too, echoed through the halls, as if the long-departed curate still paced in penance. Reverend Fletcher Moss, a man of the cloth in his own right, took up residence in the late 19th century. He was a man of reason, not easily swayed by tales of the supernatural. Yet, even he could not deny the spectral presence that dwelled within the parsonage. Night after night, he heard the inexplicable, the faint ringing of bells, as if rung by ethereal hands. The sound of footsteps echoed through the empty corridors, and doors would swing open of their own accord, revealing rooms shrouded in darkness. Reverend Fletcher Moss, however, was not one to be cowed by the unknown. With resolute determination, he set out to uncover the truth behind the parsonage's dark history. He pored over old records, sought out the faded whispers of villagers who still remembered the tale, and delved into the dusty annals of the past. Through his tireless efforts, he pieced together the tragic story of the curate and his ill-fated wife. Their spirits, he believed, were bound to the parsonage, unable to find rest until justice was served. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Reverend Fletcher Moss performed a solemn ceremony, beseeching the heavens for forgiveness and peace for the tormented souls. The parsonage seemed to sigh with relief, as if the weight of centuries had been lifted. From that moment on, the old parsonage of Didsbury stood in quiet repose, its halls no longer haunted by the restless spirits of the past. The tale of the curate's wife became a cautionary legend, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, redemption and solace could be found with the guiding light of compassion and understanding. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. 4 balls location Didsbury, sky looking north type, UFO date time, 4th of May 2008, 23:10H. Further comments, 4 orange balls of light were spotted silently floating in the sky, forming a pyramid. They remained for quite some time. Title, The Didsbury Enigma. It was a quiet night in Didsbury, the streets bathed in the soft glow of the street lights. The town, nestled comfortably in the heart of England, seemed to slumber peacefully. However, high above, a mysterious event was about to unfold. On the fateful night of May 4, 2008, the residents of Didsbury were treated to a spectacle that defied explanation. At precisely 23:10, 4 luminous orbs appeared in the northern sky. Their orange glow painted the night, casting an ethereal hue on the clouds. These orbs seemed to defy the laws of gravity, hovering silently in perfect formation. Like sentinels guarding a celestial secret, they arranged themselves in the shape of a pyramid. A hushed awe fell upon those who witnessed the phenomenon. Word spread like wildfire through the small town. Neighbors roused one another from their slumber, and families gathered on porches. Eyes turned skyward in wonder. Phones buzzed with fervent calls, each recipient urged to witness the inexplicable. As the minutes ticked by, the 4 balls of light remained steadfast, their presence defying logic. Some speculated that they were celestial visitors, while others pondered if this was a sign from another realm. Theories and conjectures flowed through the crowd like a river of imagination. Local authorities, initially skeptical, soon dispatched officers to the scene. They arrived with a mix of apprehension and intrigue, gazing upwards at the enigmatic display. Radios crackled with attempts to contact higher authorities, but the response was silence, a reflection of the cosmic silence above. Time seemed to stand still as the mysterious pyramid hung in the night sky. It was a moment that etched itself into the collective memory of Didsbury, forever to be recounted by those who were fortunate enough to bear witness. Then, as suddenly as they had appeared, the orbs began to move. With a graceful synchronicity, they ascended into the heavens, gradually fading into the infinite canvas above. The pyramid shape dissolved, leaving behind a sky restored to its usual stillness. In the aftermath, Didsbury was abuzz with speculation. The event ignited the imaginations of many, and conversations echoed with theories ranging from secret military experiments to extraterrestrial visitations. skeptics sought scientific explanations, while believers clung to the notion of a cosmic connection. Years passed, but the memory of that fateful night in 2008 remained a beacon of mystery. The four balls of light became a legend, whispered about around campfires and recounted in hushed tones in local pubs. The Didsbury enigma, as it came to be known, remained unsolved, a testament to the mysteries that still lingered beyond the boundaries of human understanding. It served as a reminder that, in the grand tapestry of the universe, there were moments that defied explanation, leaving room for wonder, curiosity, and the boundless possibilities that awaited discovery. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. The Evil Queen of Clitheroe Castle and the Devil and Ghosts. Once upon a time, in a land shrouded in mist and mystery, stood the ominous Clitheroe Castle. It was a place whispered about in hushed tones, its towering spires reaching into the clouds, and its walls bearing the weight of a dark and twisted history. At the heart of the castle ruled the malevolent Queen Seraphina, known far and wide as the Evil Queen of Clitheroe. Legend had it that she had made a pact with the devil himself to gain her powers, and her reign was marked by cruelty and tyranny. The people of the surrounding villages dared not speak her name aloud, for fear that she might hear and unleash her wrath upon them. But the castle harbored more than just the wicked queen. It was said to be haunted by the spirits of those who had suffered under her rule. Ghostly figures roamed the dimly lit corridors, their mournful wails echoing through the cold stone walls. The very air was thick with the anguish of the past, and those who entered the castle could feel the weight of centuries of sorrow. One fateful night, as an eerie fog settled over Clitheroe, a mysterious figure appeared at the castle gates. It was none other than the devil himself, drawn by the darkness that clung to the fortress like a malevolent cloak. Queen Seraphina, sensing an opportunity to strengthen her grip on the realm, welcomed the devil with a wicked smile. Together, they hatched a nefarious plan to extend the queen's dominion beyond the castle walls. The devil unleashed his dark magic, and soon the very ground beneath Clitheroe trembled with an otherworldly power. Ghostly apparitions emerged from the shadows, their ethereal forms taking shape as an army of the undead. The queen, now wielding powers magnified by her unholy alliance, led the spectral army into the villages below. Panic spread like wildfire as the living and the dead marched together, sowing chaos and despair. The once vibrant villages were reduced to ghost towns, their inhabitants either fleeing in terror or succumbing to the malevolent forces. But little did the evil queen know that within the haunted castle, a rebellion was brewing. The ghosts of those who had suffered at her hands began to unite, fueled by a shared desire for redemption. As the spectral army advanced, the ghostly rebels emerged from the shadows, confronting their oppressors with a determination born of centuries of pain. A battle of the supernatural ensued, echoing through the corridors of Clitheroe Castle and the surrounding villages. The air crackled with dark magic, and the clash between the living and the dead reached a crescendo that reverberated through the ages. In the end, the combined forces of the ghostly rebels proved too powerful for the evil queen and her unholy alliance. The devil, seeing the tide turning against him, retreated into the shadows, leaving the queen to face the consequences of her malevolence. As dawn broke over the desolate land, the fog lifted, revealing the battered but triumphant spirits of the once oppressed. The evil queen of Clitheroe was no more, her dark reign vanquished by the very souls she had tormented. The castle, once a symbol of fear, now stood as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, and the ghosts that had haunted its halls found peace at last. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Title: The Footballing Devil of Crawshabull. In the quaint village of Crawshabull, nestled amidst the rolling hills, there existed a legend that had been whispered from one generation to the next. It spoke of a peculiar encounter with none other than Old Nick himself, the devil. One misty Sunday morning, when the village green was bathed in a soft, ethereal light, a group of local lads gathered to indulge in their favorite pastime, a spirited game of football. Laughter and camaraderie filled the air as they kicked the ball to and fro, reveling in the joy of the Sabbath. Suddenly, an unexpected guest arrived. Tall, imposing, and draped in shadows, Old Nick appeared on the green. His eyes gleamed with an otherworldly fire, and a knowing smile played upon his lips. The villagers couldn't quite fathom his presence, but none dared to question the devil himself. Without uttering a word, Old Nick stepped forward. His gaze locked on the spherical leather orb. With a single swift motion, he sent the ball hurtling across the field. As it left his foot, a strange transformation occurred. The ball burst into flames, casting an eerie glow over the surroundings. The lads watched in awe and terror, frozen in their tracks. The once familiar leather ball now resembled a burning comet, trailing embers in its wake. Panic coursed through their veins, and they scattered like leaves in a tempest, fleeing from the fiery apparition that had replaced their cherished game. Old Nick stood alone on the village green, a dark silhouette against the surreal backdrop of dancing flames. With a chuckle that echoed through the misty air, he vanished as mysteriously as he had arrived, leaving behind a field scorched and marked by the unearthly encounter. From that day on, the legend of the footballing devil of Crawshable became etched in the annals of village folklore. The story was told and retold, passed down through the ages, a cautionary tale about the perils of trifling with the supernatural. The green, though restored to its former tranquility, bore witness to the inexplicable events of that Sabbath day. And the lads, forever changed by their encounter, carried the memory with them, a reminder that some mysteries were best left unexplored. As the years rolled on, the village of Crawshable remained shrouded in its enigmatic past, guarding the secrets of that fateful day when Old Nick himself graced the village green, turning a simple game of football into a legendary encounter with the otherworldly. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. The full blood moon cast an eerie glow over Pendle Hill in Lancashire on Halloween night. The ancient stones and twisted trees seemed to come alive in its crimson light, casting long, haunting shadows that danced across the moors. In the heart of the village, nestled amidst the gnarled roots of an ancient oak, lived a solitary woman named Eliza. Her cottage was adorned with dried herbs and arcane symbols, and the air around it held a scent of earth and enchantment. Locals spoke of her in hushed tones, for she was rumored to possess a knowledge of the old ways, passed down through generations. As the blood moon ascended, painting the sky with its eerie hue, Eliza felt a shift in the air. She sensed something stirring, a presence older than the hills themselves. Her eyes, dark pools of wisdom, gleamed with a knowing glint. In the heart of the forest, a group of young friends gathered around a flickering bonfire, their faces painted with symbols of protection. They spoke of the legends that clung to Pendle Hill, tales of witches and magic that haunted their dreams. Tonight, they sought adventure, hoping to catch a glimpse of the supernatural. Unbeknownst to them, the lines between the realms were thin on this night, and their presence had not gone unnoticed. Eliza, with her attuned senses, felt their energy, an eager curiosity tinged with trepidation. As the night wore on, the young explorers ventured deeper into the woods, their footsteps crunching on fallen leaves. Suddenly, the forest seemed to close in around them, the shadows growing darker and more ominous. Eliza, guided by an ancient instinct, moved through the night with a grace that belied her years. She approached the group, her silhouette a ghostly apparition in the moonlight. Startled, the friends turned to face her. "Do not be afraid," she whispered, her voice like wind through the leaves. "The spirits are restless tonight, and they do not take kindly to trespassers." Wide-eyed and trembling, they listened as she recounted the tale of Pendle Hill, a place steeped in magic and mystery. She spoke of the witches who once walked these lands, of the ancient coven that drew power from the earth itself. As Eliza wove her story, the blood moon hung low in the sky, casting an otherworldly glow upon the scene. The friends, now captivated by her words, felt a palpable energy in the air. With a knowing look, Eliza offered her hand, inviting them to join her in a circle. Together, they formed a bond, a connection that bridged the mortal world with the ethereal. As the clock struck midnight, the forest seemed to come alive with a chorus of whispers and rustling leaves. The boundaries between past and present blurred, and for a fleeting moment, the young adventurers glimpsed the ancient power that pulsed through Pendle Hill. When the first light of dawn painted the horizon, the blood moon began to wane, its crimson hue fading into the morning sky. The friends stood with a newfound reverence for the magic that lingered in the hills. Eliza, her eyes filled with a quiet satisfaction, knew that the spirits had found solace in the company of the living. As the young explorers made their way back through the forest, they carried with them a story, a connection to the ancient heart of Pendle Hill. And so, beneath the watchful gaze of the fading blood moon, a bond was forged between generations, a testament to the enduring power of magic and the mysteries that still whispered through the wind-swept moors of Lancashire. By Donald J. The Ramblin' Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. The Giants of Pendle. As they roamed the dense woodlands, their massive footsteps echoing through the ancient trees. Each giant had a unique name and personality, making them a close-knit community that thrived in the heart of Pendle. There was Gorm, the gentle giant with a heart as big as his towering frame. He spent his days tending to the smaller creatures of the forest, ensuring that they were safe and well-fed. Gorm's lumbering steps caused the ground to shake, but his touch was as delicate as a breeze. Contrastingly, there was Brack, a more boisterous giant who loved to engage in friendly competitions with his fellow giants. Whether it was wrestling with tree trunks or seeing who could toss boulders the farthest, Brack's laughter resonated through the forest, creating a symphony of joy. Amidst the giants, there was also Ilara, a wise and ancient being who had seen the passing of centuries. She stood as the matriarch of the group, guiding the younger giants with her profound knowledge of the natural world. Her eyes, as deep as the roots of the oldest trees, held the secrets of ages long past. The giants of Pendle had lived in harmony with the land for generations. They had their own rituals, like the annual gathering at the Great Oak, a colossal tree that served as a meeting place for the giants. It was there that they shared stories, exchanged wisdom, and celebrated their unique bond with the forest. However, as the world around Pendle began to change, whispers of a growing human settlement reached the giants' ears. The giants, being creatures of peace, observed from afar, hoping that the humans would coexist with the natural world. Yet, as time went on, the giants noticed the once lush forests being replaced by fields and villages. Troubled by the encroachment on their home, the giants of Pendle gathered at the Great Oak to discuss the situation. Ilara, with her ancient wisdom, spoke of the importance of finding a way to peacefully coexist with their humans. Gorm, ever the gentle giant, suggested reaching out to the human settlers and sharing the wonders of the forest. Brack, however, was more skeptical. He feared that the humans, unaware of the giants' existence, might see them as a threat. The giants, torn between their love for the land and their desire for peace, decided to send a delegation to the nearest human village. Led by Gorm, the delegation approached the village with caution. The humans, astonished by the sight of these towering beings, initially reacted with fear. However, Gorm's warm smile and gentle demeanor soon won them over. Through a series of gestures and simple communication, Gorm conveyed the giants' plea for harmony and coexistence. To the giants' relief, the humans were receptive to the message. They realized the giants were guardians of the land and shared a deep connection with nature. The humans and giants found a way to live side by side, each respecting the other's space and working together to preserve the beauty of Pendle. And so, the giants of Pendle and the humans forged an unlikely alliance, proving that understanding and cooperation could bridge the gap between two very different worlds. The giants continued to roam the forests, and the humans, with newfound appreciation for the natural world, thrived alongside their colossal neighbors in harmony. By Donald J. The Random Jotting of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. The old local pub 50s, 60s and early 70s. Draft beer, pale ale and milk stout for the laddies. Meat pies and peas with salt and vinegar on it. Pickled eggs. Chicken and chips in a basket. Salted peanuts. Crisps. Old men playing dominoes and cards. Young men playing darts. The piano playing in the corner. People talking about the local news and sports. The old local pub, nestled in the heart of the town, stood as a timeless haven for the community. Its worn wooden sign, weathered by decades of stories, proudly proclaimed its establishment in the 50s. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the amber glow from the pub's windows spilled onto the cobblestone street, inviting both regulars and newcomers to step into a bygone era. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with the scent of nostalgia. The air hummed with the chatter of patrons who had witnessed the evolution of the town. The bar, a polished relic from the 60s, displayed a collection of draft beer taps, offering pale ales for the gentlemen and milk stouts for the laddies. A row of stools lined the bar, where locals, their faces etched with the lines of time, gathered to discuss the day's events. The clinking of glasses and the laughter of friends echoed through the room. A group of ladies, sitting at a corner table, indulged in the richness of milk stout as they exchanged stories and laughter. A barmaid, wearing a floral apron, expertly poured pints while balancing a tray of meat pies and peas, generously sprinkled with salt and vinegar. The traditional fare brought back memories of simpler times when hearty comfort food was a staple. Pickled eggs, a peculiar delicacy, sat in a jar on the counter, tempting those with a daring palate. In the midst of the pub's warmth, a piano in the corner played gentle tunes that wove through the conversations. The pianist, an unassuming figure with weathered hands, struck the keys with the grace of someone who had witnessed the passage of many years. Old men, their faces etched with wrinkles like the bark of ancient trees, huddled around tables engaged in intense games of dominoes and cards. Each move and gesture was seasoned with the wisdom of experience, and the room resonated with the rhythmic clack of domino tiles and the shuffling of cards. Meanwhile, young men embraced the competitive spirit of the times, gathered around dartboards, aiming with precision and celebrating each bull's eye with raucous cheers. The clatter of darts hitting the board added a lively cadence to the pub's ambience. Baskets of chicken and chips circulated among the patrons, providing sustenance for those engrossed in their games or lost in the melodies of the piano. Bowls of salted peanuts and crisps were scattered across tables, offering a satisfying crunch to accompany the lively banter. Amidst the familiar faces and the timeless charm of the pub, conversations flowed effortlessly from local news to sports. Stories were shared, laughter echoed, and the clinking of glasses punctuated the memories made in this beloved establishment. As the night deepened, the old local pub continued to stand as a living testament to the camaraderie of the 50s, 60s, and early 70s, a place where time stood still, and the spirit of community thrived. By Donald J. The Random Jotting of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Titled The Phantom of Denton Police Station. In the heart of Denton, nestled amongst the shadowy alleys and cobbled streets, stood the old Denton Police Station. The ancient building bore witness to decades of whispered secrets and hushed conversations. Yet, it held one secret that refused to remain hidden. Between the years of 1974 and 1978, a spectre roamed the station's echoing halls, a figure cloaked in a long, white coat that billowed like a spectral mist. The first encounter came to pass when Officer Jennings, a seasoned veteran with nerves of steel, witnessed the apparition. Late one moonless night, Officer Jennings glimpsed the ghostly form as it glided into a disused locker room, a place that harbored no other exit. He hesitated, his breath suspended, then cautiously followed, gun drawn and heart pounding. To his astonishment, the room was empty, save for the lingering chill that clung to the air. 3 years later, in the frigid grip of winter, another officer, Constable Simmons, found himself face to face with the ethereal figure. He'd been alone in the office, poring over old case files when he looked up to see the figure standing motionless, its piercing gaze fixed upon him. Startled, Simmons leapt to his feet and dashed toward the door, but by the time he crossed the threshold, the apparition had vanished, leaving nothing but a cold breeze in its wake. Simmons knew he was alone in the station, and a wave of unease washed over him. He swiftly called for backup, requesting a dog unit to apprehend the intruder. The officers and their trained hounds scoured every inch of the building, but no trace of the ghostly figure remained. The final encounter was witnessed by a cleaner, Mrs. Abernathy, a woman of unshakable resolve who had spent years tending to the station's neglected corners. One fateful evening, as she went about her duties, Mrs. Abernathy saw the spectral form peering through a door that led to the courthouse. The figure's eyes, like twin orbs of pale moonlight, met hers, and in that instant, she felt a profound connection to something beyond the realm of the living. Word of the phantom's appearances spread through the ranks, weaving its way into the fabric of station lore. Whispers and theories circulated, but no one could unravel the mystery of the figure in the long white coat. As the years passed, the encounters became less frequent, until they ceased altogether. Some believed the spirit had found solace and moved on, while others thought it merely bided its time, waiting for a moment when it would once again walk among the living. To this day, the legend of the Phantom of Denton Station endures, a testament to the enigmatic forces that linger in the shadows, reminding all who entered that some mysteries are destined to remain unsolved. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. The Returning Souls, All Souls' Day in Pendle in Lancashire. As many of may already know, it is All Souls' Day today in Ireland, and a common tradition was to leave a candle in your window at night to guide the returning souls of your dead relatives. Still practiced by many, mostly older people though, something I do myself. The general belief is that the souls walked the earth on this night and you would invite your loved ones back into your home once again. Light a candle but also sweep the floor, leave the door open and go to bed, leaving a little fire lit and some food and water out for the returning souls. In the quaint village of Pendle, nestled in the heart of Lancashire, the air carried a chill that hinted at the approaching winter. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the cobbled streets, the villagers prepared for a night that held a special place in their hearts, All Souls' Day. The tradition of welcoming back the departed was woven into the fabric of Pendle's history, passed down through generations like an ancient tale. In the warm glow of fireplaces and the soft flicker of candles, families gathered to honor their ancestors. Margaret, a wise woman of the village, moved with a deliberate grace as she lit a candle and placed it on her windowsill. Her gnarled hands handled the flame with the utmost care, a silent tribute to the spirits she hoped to invite back. As the flame danced, casting ethereal shadows on the walls, memories of her departed kin flooded her thoughts. The narrow lanes of Pendle echoed with the hushed footsteps of those partaking in the age-old ritual. One by one, candles found their way into windowsills, transforming the village into a constellation of flickering lights. The soft glow illuminated faces marked by years and the wisdom that accompanies them. Margaret's neighbor, Mr. Thompson, took a moment to sweep the front of his cottage, the bristles of the broom rustling against the cobbled stones. It was a symbolic act, a gesture to clear the path for the returning souls. His weathered face bore the lines of a life well lived, and his eyes held a quiet reverence for the tradition that linked the living and the departed. The air was filled with a mixture of anticipation and nostalgia as the village prepared for the night. Doors were left slightly ajar, an open invitation for the spirits to re-enter the homes they once knew. The aroma of freshly baked bread and the comforting scent of burning logs wafted through the air, mingling with the cool breeze that whispered through the ancient trees. As the night deepened, a sense of stillness settled over Pendle. The villagers, having completed their preparations, retired to their beds with hearts open to the possibility of a reunion with their loved ones. In Margaret's cozy cottage, a small fire crackled in the hearth, casting a warm glow that danced in harmony with the flickering candlelight. As the clock struck midnight, a subtle shift occurred. The air seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy, and the village held its breath in collective anticipation. In the silence, a soft rustle of leaves and a distant whisper of the wind carried echoes of the past. In the wee hours of the morning, the villagers awoke to a world touched by a mysterious magic. The candles had burned low, their flames flickering in the quiet dawn. Some reported glimpses of fleeting shadows, a gentle caress of the wind, or a familiar scent lingering in the air. As the sun rose over Pendle, the returning souls, having savored the warmth of their once familiar homes, slipped away with the first light of day. The village, still wrapped in the mystique of the night, breathed a collective sigh, grateful for the transient reunion with those who had gone before. All Souls' Day in Pendle remained a cherished tradition, a bridge between the realms of the living and the departed. And as the years rolled on, the flame of remembrance continued to burn bright in the hearts of the villagers, connecting them to a tapestry woven with love, memories, and the eternal cycle of life and death. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Sarskowladi title, The Sarskowladi's Lament. In the quiet village of Croston, nestled amidst the rolling hills, there stood Gradwell's farm, now a museum steeped in history. It was a place where the past whispered through the time-worn stones, where every creaking floorboard held a secret, and every rustling leaf seemed to echo with memories. In the year 1958, on a moonlit night, a gentle breeze carried the melancholic sighs of a ghostly presence. The villagers spoke of the Sarskowladi, a spectre bound by a tragic love story. She had once roamed the halls of Gradwell's farm, her heart entwined with that of Monk, a forbidden love that dared not speak its name. Her name was Isabella, and her hazel eyes held a depth of emotion that spoke of unfulfilled dreams. She longed for a life beyond the confines of her existence, yearning to break free from the shackles of societal expectations. But love between a lady and a monk was a flame that could not be allowed to burn. When Isabella dared to profess her affections, the cruel hand of rejection struck her down. Desperation gripped her heart, and in a moment of despair, she flung herself into the unforgiving well, the 40-foot drop into the water below sealing her fate. From that moment on, her spirit wandered the corridors of the farm, a restless soul forever seeking solace. Her presence was felt by those with a keen sense of the supernatural, a mournful wisp of energy that lingered in the air. One fateful night, as the clock struck midnight, Isabella's ethereal form ventured beyond the farm's boundaries, drawn to the nearby road. It was a path where the living and the departed intersected, a place where her essence collided with the tangible world. As if guided by a cruel twist of fate, a bus hurtled down the road, its headlights slicing through the darkness. The driver, a man of stout heart and steady nerves, let out a horrified cry as he felt a bone-chilling impact. He swerved, convinced he had struck a living, breathing soul. Yet, when the dust settled and he dared to look back, there was no trace of a body, no sign of mortal injury. The Sarskowladi, it seemed, was bound to wander, forever trapped between two worlds. Her presence continued to weave through the fabric of time, a spectral figure lost in the corridors of eternity. To this day, the tale of Isabella's ill-fated love and her haunting manifestation echoes through the village of Croston. Gradwell's farm stands as a testament to a love that defied convention, and the nearby road serves as a haunting reminder that some stories, once written in the stars, can never truly fade away. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. The Tall Buildings, Leeds Road, Nelson, Lancashire, a place of many spiritual stories. In the heart of Nelson, Lancashire, stood the towering sentinels known as the Tall Buildings of Leeds Road. They loomed over the town, their presence both a testament to human ambition and a canvas for countless stories. Among the locals, these buildings were more than just structures of steel and glass. They were repositories of history and conduits of spirituality. Many believed that within these walls, the echoes of the past whispered secrets to those who listened. One chilly autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that stretched like ancient fingers across the cobblestone streets, a curious soul named Emily ventured into the heart of this urban jungle. Emily was a young woman with an insatiable hunger for stories. She had heard whispers of the tall buildings, tales spun from generations past. They spoke of ghostly apparitions wandering the halls, of lost souls finding solace within their walls, and of ancient energies that pulse through the very foundation. With each step, Emily could feel the weight of the stories pressing against her, urging her forward. She entered the first building, its lobby a grandeur of marble and polished brass. The air hung heavy with the sense of something more, something beyond the tangible world. She ascended the staircase, her footsteps muffled by lush carpeting that seemed to absorb the sounds of the world. As Emily explored the floors, she discovered forgotten corners, abandoned offices, and hidden alcoves. In each space, she could almost sense the residue of lives once lived. As midnight approached, Emily found herself in front of an old wooden door. It creaked open with reluctance, revealing a small chamber bathed in the soft glow of moonlight filtering through a dusty window. In the center of the room, a weathered book lay open, its pages yellowed with age. Emily's heart quickened as she approached the tome. It was a ledger of sorts, filled with names, dates, and brief descriptions. It chronicled the stories of those who had sought solace within these walls. Some were tales of heartbreak, others of redemption, but all bore the weight of human experience. As she read, Emily became aware of a presence, a gentle hum that seemed to vibrate through the very air. She felt as though the spirits of the past were standing beside her, sharing their stories in whispers that danced on the edges of her consciousness. Hours passed like minutes, and as the first light of dawn began to pierce through the curtains, Emily closed the book with a sense of both reverence and wonder. She left the room, her heart full of gratitude for the privilege of witnessing such a sacred chronicle. From that moment on, Emily became a guardian of the tall buildings' stories. She returned time and again, sharing the tales she had uncovered with those who would listen. The buildings, once silent sentinels, now echoed with the voices of generations. And so, the tall buildings of Leeds Road continued to stand, not only as architectural marvels, but as living testaments to the resilience, the heartache, and the triumphs of those who had passed through their doors. The spiritual stories held within their walls became a beacon of light for all who dared to listen. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. There are more things in heaven and earth and in Pendle in Lancashire than are dreamt of in your philosophy, pagans, Christians, Muslims, occult. Title: The Enchanted Valley of Pendle. In the heart of Lancashire, nestled amidst the rolling hills, lay the mysterious Valley of Pendle. Legends whispered that this place held secrets beyond mortal understanding, where ancient forces intertwined with the modern world. The people of Pendle were a diverse bunch, representing a spectrum of beliefs. Pagans, Christians, Muslims, and those who dabbled in the occult all coexisted, finding solace in the valley's enigmatic embrace. In a quaint cottage at the valley's edge lived Eliza, an elderly woman who embodied the spirit of Pendle. She was known to all as the Wise One, a title earned through years of communing with the mystical energies that flowed through the land. Eliza revered nature as her sacred temple, and the moon and stars were her companions. One fateful evening, under a sky painted with the hues of twilight, a stranger arrived in Pendle. A man named Samuel, seeking answers that eluded his grasp, had heard tales of the valleys and the worldly wisdom. With each step, he felt the energy shift, as if the very ground beneath him pulsed with a hidden power. Samuel's arrival stirred the interest of the valley's inhabitants. The Christians saw in him a seeker of faith, the Muslims recognized a kindred spirit in his quest for spiritual enlightenment, and the pagans sensed an open heart ready to embrace the mysteries of the earth. As the days passed, Eliza took Samuel under her wing. She introduced him to the sacred groves, where the trees whispered their ancient wisdom, and the hidden springs, where the water held memories of ages past. Samuel, in turn, shared stories of his own beliefs, painting a vivid tapestry of faiths intertwining. In the evenings, the villagers gathered around a bonfire, where the flames danced in rhythm with their shared spirits. They spoke of their diverse beliefs, finding common ground in the reverence for the unknown. Samuel found solace in the chorus of voices, each representing a facet of the universal truth. One night, as the moon hung low in the sky, Eliza led Samuel to the heart of the valley. There, beneath an ancient oak, she revealed a stone engraved with symbols that transcended any language. It was a relic of forgotten origins, a bridge between worlds. "Samuel," Eliza murmured, "this stone is a testament to the unity of all beliefs. It reminds us that there are more things in heaven and earth than any single philosophy can encompass." With reverence, Samuel touched the stone, feeling its pulse resonate with the heartbeat of the valley. In that moment, he understood that faith was not confined to one doctrine, it was an ever-evolving tapestry, woven from the threads of humanity's collective search for meaning. As the years passed, Samuel became a guardian of Pendle, sharing the valley's wisdom with those who sought it. The village of diverse beliefs flourished, each soul finding their own path to enlightenment while embracing the beauty of unity. And so, in the enchanted valley of Pendle, the boundaries between faiths blurred, and the people discovered that the true essence of spirituality transcends the confines of any single philosophy. For in Pendle, they learned that there are more things in heaven and earth than any one person can ever dream of. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. In the heart of England, where the ancient forests whispered secrets and the River Tame flowed steady and sure, there existed a legend that would echo through the ages. This tale was woven with threads of magic and defiance, carried by the wind through the centuries. It was a time when the weight of oppression hung heavy over the land. The people of Denton looked to the horizon, their hearts burdened by the tyranny that gripped them. Yet, amidst the shadows of their despair, a figure emerged, a beacon of hope clad in Lincoln green. Robin Hood, they called him, a name that rang through the trees like a rallying cry. One fateful eve, as the moon cast its silvery glow upon the land, Robin stood atop Ernethlow. With the night as his shroud and the stars as his audience, he felt a strange energy coursing through him. The fairies of the forest, guardians of ancient magic, had sensed his noble spirit and gathered around him, their wings aglow with a soft, ethereal light. As they whispered in a language only the chosen could comprehend, a plan took shape. Together, they summoned forth a stone, a colossal behemoth that seemed hewn from the very heart of the earth. It was a stone the size of man, imbued with the strength of the land itself. With a unified effort, Robin and the fairies lifted the stone, their collective wills intertwining with the forces of nature. It rose above them, held aloft by an unseen power, and for a moment, it seemed as though the laws of the world had bent to their command. Then, with a mighty heave, they released the stone, sending it hurtling through the night. It sailed through the air, a comet of defiance streaking towards the earth below. The wind howled its approval, and the stars themselves seemed to cheer. Days passed, and the people of Denton spoke in hushed tones of the miraculous feat they had witnessed. They marveled at the tale of the stone thrown from Wernethlo, a symbol of help and resistance. Yet, as time went on, the stone faded from memory, becoming a legend whispered by firesides, a story told to inspire generations yet unborn. Years later, a humble fisherman cast his net into the waters of the River Dame. As he pulled it in, he felt a strange weight, a pull from the depths below. With bated breath, he gazed into the net, and there, nestled amongst the fish, was the stone. Word spread like wildfire, and soon, the legend of the thrown stone was reborn. The people of Denton knew that their hope was not in vain, that even the mightiest forces could be moved by the courage and unity of those who dared to defy the darkness. And so, through the ages, the tale of Robin Hood and the fairies of Wernethlo endured, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit could summon magic and make history with a single, resounding act of defiance. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Title: The Enchanted Weaving. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between rolling hills and whispering woods, there lived a wise couple named Grandma Hilda and Grandad William. They were known far and wide for their extraordinary talent in creating bit mats, magical rugs woven from old coats and clothes, each embedded with ancient spells to protect homes from malevolent forces. The village had always been a place of peace, but stories of lurking shadows and mischievous spirits had started to circulate. The villagers, desperate for protection, turned to Grandma Hilda and Grandad William, the keepers of an age-old tradition. In their quaint cottage, the couple gathered materials, tattered coats, moth-eaten blankets, and scraps of fabric. These seemingly ordinary pieces of cloth held the key to weaving spells that would safeguard the village. As the couple worked, they whispered incantations passed down through generations. Their hands moved with a rhythm known only to them, interlacing memories and magic. With every pass of the needle, the fabric transformed, absorbing the ancient spells like thirsty soil drinks in rain. Some of the old coats and clothes bore the imprints of wicked intentions, remnants of a time long past when dark forces sought to bring harm. But with each stitch, Grandma Hilda and Grandad William wove in their own benevolent magic, transforming malice into benevolence. The bit mats started to take form, each one a unique tapestry of colors and patterns. Magic sigils danced amidst the threads, shimmering like secret constellations. These symbols, infused with protective enchantments, would serve as sentinels against any dark presence that dared approach. The day came when the last bit mat was finished, a masterpiece of woven protection. The couple stood back, admiring their handiwork, knowing that these rugs held not only their craftsmanship but also their love for the village and its people. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the first hint of twilight kissed the village. The bit mats were carefully distributed among the homes, their magic settling like a gentle breeze. That night, the villagers slept soundly, cradled in the protective embrace of the enchanted weaving. From that moment on, the village flourished with newfound confidence. The shadows that once loomed were banished, and laughter echoed through the streets once more. Grandma Hilda and Grandad William's bit mats became cherished heirlooms, passed down through generations as a symbol of resilience and unity. And so, the tale of the enchanted weaving lived on, a testament to the power of love, craft, and ancient magic. The village prospered, knowing that in their midst, two humble souls had woven a legacy that would protect them for generations to come. By Donald J. The Random Jotting of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Title: Thrown Stone. Once upon a time, in the ancient lands of Denton, nestled beside the gentle River Dame, there existed a legend that echoed through the ages. It was a tale of a heroic outlaw named Robin Hood, whose deeds were whispered in every corner of the forest. One fateful day, as the sun painted the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Robin Hood found himself atop the towering Wernethlow. The wind carried the secrets of the woods, and the leaves rustled in quiet anticipation. Something monumental was about to happen. With a glint in his eye and a sense of purpose in his heart, Robin Hood turned to the fairies of the forest. These ethereal creatures, guardians of nature's balance, had long been friends to the legendary outlaw. Their wings shimmered like gossamer, and their laughter was like the tinkling of bells. Fairies of the woodlands, Robin Hood spoke, I seek your aid in a task of great importance. Together, we shall cast a stone the size of man, into the waters of the River Dame. The fairies, sensing the gravity of the moment, nodded in solemn agreement. They flitted about, gathering their magic, infusing the stone with the essence of the woods itself. As the stone took on an otherworldly glow, Robin Hood heaved it high into the sky, guided by the collective magic of the fairies. It soared with a grace that defied its massive size, tracing an arc against the canvas of the heavens. Down below, the River Tame waited, its waters whispering ancient secrets. The stone descended, breaking the surface with a thunderous splash. Ripples raced outward, carrying the resonance of this legendary act across the river's expanse. When the waters calmed, a sense of reverence hung in the air. The stone now rested at the river's bed, an enduring testament to the strength and unity of man and nature. From that moment on, the legend of the thrown stone echoed through the lands. It became a symbol of hope and unity, a reminder that even the mightiest obstacles could be overcome through collaboration and the boundless magic of nature. Generations passed, and the tale of Robin Hood and the fairies of Denton lived on, carried by the whispers of the wind and the rustling leaves. The stone, forever nestled in the embrace of the River Dame, stood as a silent sentinel, a beacon of the enduring power of legends. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Digmouse Brown Location Croston, trees in the local area haunting manifestation. An entity resembling a Crossafarian ghost, this local figure has been observed leaping from treetop to treetop. He is said to warn people of any immediate danger, reportedly saving one lad from a speeding lorry. Digmouse Brown is also known as Shrewfoot and Marsantoes, and sometimes chases a phantom stag through the trees. In Croston's woods, where shadows dance, a spirit roams, a fleeting glance. Digmouse Brown, a spectral sight, a guardian of the silent night. With wings of gossamer and eyes aglow, he flits through branches, to and fro. A fairy's grace, a ghostly form, in moonlight's glow, he weathers the storm. Shrewfoot, Marsantoes, names untamed, in whispered tales, they're oft proclaimed. A harbinger of perils near, a watchful soul, to hold what's dear. Once, a lad in danger's plight, faced a speeding lorry's might. Digmouse swooped, a saviour bold, guiding him to safety's hold. A phantom stag, he gives pursuit, through ancient groves, his steps are mute. A dance of spirits, through the trees, a ballet played on twilight's breeze. O Titmouse Brown, in shadows steeped, a guardian of secrets, well kept. In Croston's woods, your legend sways, a haunting presence, through the days. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Title, Triumph of Resilience. Donald J. In the quiet town of Nelson, Lancashire, there lived a man named Donald J. who carried a heavy load. Despite facing a myriad of health challenges from the moment he took his first breath, Donald's spirit remained unbreakable. Dyslexia, a silent adversary, danced with his words, but Donald's determination to communicate knew no bounds. He poured his heart into every sentence, defying the odds with every written word. Irritable bowel syndrome played a discordant tune in his daily life, but Donald learned to compose a symphony of careful choices, embracing a diet that soothed his troubled gut. Born with a birth defect, possessing only one kidney, Donald's lone warrior endured the trials of life with grace. It fought valiantly, even as slight kidney failure in 2007 threatened to dim its resolve. The vast deferens, a silent witness to his journey, stood strong, a reminder of the battles waged within. An recent hypertension sent tremors through his veins, but his heart beat on, an unwavering testament to his fortitude. Angina of effort, a cruel companion, whispered caution with every beat. But Donald pressed forward, determined to let his heart know that he was the captain of this ship. Chronic cholecystitis dictated a low-fat diet, but Donald savored the flavors of life within its constraints. He learned to appreciate every morsel, finding joy in the simplest of meals. Chronic prostatitis brought its own set of challenges, but Donald faced them head-on. Pain became a part of his attire, a small price to pay for the strength that coursed through his veins. Nervous tension and depression lurked in the shadows, but Donald's spirit shone through, casting a light that dispelled the darkness. He sought solace in the small victories, a testament to his indomitable will. Chronic migraines, triggered by light and sound, painted his world in shades of agony. Yet, Donald refused to surrender, finding moments of respite in the stillness of his own mind. Hemorrhoids, a painful reminder of the battles fought within, could not deter Donald's stride. He faced them with stoicism, a testament to his unwavering resolve. Arthritis, a persistent foe, tested the limits of his joints. Yet, Donald embraced each day, finding strength in the knowledge that his body was a testament to the battles he had won. Cervical spondylosis, a pain in his neck, threatened to weigh him down. Dizziness danced at the edges of his vision, but Donald refused to lose sight of his path. Band-like pain around his head served as a constant companion, a reminder of the battles he faced. Pain shot down both arms, but Donald's spirit remained unyielding. Cervical vertigo brought moments of unsteadiness, but Donald found his balance in the rhythm of life. When it waned, he donned a collar, a symbol of his resilience. Fibrositis wove its tendrils through his body, but Donald stood tall. He faced the pain with unwavering courage, a testament to his unbreakable spirit. Sciatica sent bolts of pain down both legs, but Donald refused to be confined. He moved forward, each step a declaration of his strength. Low back pain and the ache in his hands were constant companions, but Donald's grip on life remained unshaken. He learned to savor the moments between the waves of pain. In 2012, deafness knocked on his door, but Donald found new ways to listen. 2 hearing aids became his allies, helping him navigate a world of muted sounds. Cataracts clouded his vision in 2013, but Donald saw through their haze. He faced the world with clarity of purpose, undeterred by the shadows that danced at the edges. On the 13th of November, 2014, his right arm broke, leaving his left arm weakened and painful. But Donald's spirit remained unbroken. He learned to adapt, finding strength in his newfound resilience. In 2017, celiac disease demanded a gluten-free diet, but Donald embraced the change. He discovered a world of flavors that danced on his palate, a testament to his adaptability. In 2019, cervical vertigo returned, testing his balance once more. But Donald stood firm, a rock against the tides of uncertainty. On the 31st of December, 2020, type 2 diabetes joined the ranks of his adversaries. But Donald faced it head-on, weaving it into the tapestry of his life, a testament to his ability to adapt and thrive. Through every trial, Donald's spirit remained unyielding. He was a testament to the power of resilience, a living embodiment of the triumph of the human spirit. His journey was a symphony of strength, each note a testament to his unwavering resolve. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Gatley Shouter title: The legend of the Gatley Shouter. In the heart of the 19th century, nestled between the quaint villages of Didsbury and Gatley, there existed a tale that sent shivers down the spines of the locals. It was a story whispered in hushed tones, shared around hearths and over pints in dimly lit taverns. The legend of the Gatley Shouter. Jim Barrow, they said, was a man of peculiar habits. His cottage stood just beside the northern churchyard, where he lived a solitary existence, away from prying eyes. With unkempt hair and tattered clothes, he was known to mutter strange incantations under his breath, while his eyes gleamed with an otherworldly light. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the cobbled streets, the air would grow heavy with anticipation. That was when the Gatley Shouter would emerge. From the depths of the churchyard, he would materialize, his gaunt figure swaying to an eerie, tuneless melody. Milk and water should I ever, weight or measure gave I never, he would chant. His voice a raspy echo that carried through the night. The villagers, terror-stricken, would lock their doors and draw their curtains. They dared not venture outside when the shouter was on his nocturnal march. Some said he was a lost soul, doomed to wander for eternity, burdened by some ungodly secret. It was on one fateful night, when the moon hung low and the wind whispered secrets, that the parson of the Didsbury church could bear it no longer. Armed with holy resolve and the words of exorcism, he set forth to confront the spectral presence. With a mighty invocation, the parson banished the Gatley Shouter, casting him beneath a colossal stone at the entrance of the churchyard. The weight of the stone held the wraith in place, forever binding him to the earth. From then on, the village knew peace. The shouter's haunting cries ceased, replaced by the somber whispers of the wind. The legend of the Gatley Shouter faded into the annals of time, becoming little more than a chilling bedtime story for children. Car Lane, now renamed in honor of the brave parson, bore witness to a new era. The villagers walked its cobbles with newfound confidence, knowing that the spectral chapter of their history was firmly behind them. Yet, on certain moonlit nights, when the air grew still and the shadows danced, some claimed to hear a faint, distant murmur. They would pause, straining their ears, but the sound would fade as quickly as it came, leaving them to wonder if the Gatley Shouter still lingered, imprisoned beneath the stone, forever yearning for release. And so, the legend lived on, carried by the whispers of the wind, a tale of a man named Jim Barrow, who once walked the road to Gatley, forever immortalized as the haunting manifestation known as the Gatley Shouter. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Were you born around Pendle Hill? Did your ancestors come from here too? Some were back in time. Are you related to a witch, wizard or warlock? Or are you just weird like me? In the heart of Lancashire, nestled beneath the looming shadow of Pendle Hill, lay a quaint village with a history as old as the hills themselves. Generations of families had called this place home, passing down stories and traditions through the ages. Among these families was the Thompson clan, who could trace their roots back to the very soil that cradled their ancestors. Young Emma Thompson often found herself drawn to the enigmatic aura that surrounded Pendle Hill. Its craggy peak seemed to hold secrets, whispering tales of ancient times. The legends that danced through the air were a part of her heritage, a tapestry woven with threads of mysticism and magic. As she delved deeper into her family's history, Emma couldn't help but wonder about the whispered names in hushed conversations: witches, wizards, and warlocks. Were these merely fragments of folklore, or were they threads of truth that had woven their way into the fabric of her lineage? One chilly autumn evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows across the cobbled streets, Emma stumbled upon an old leather-bound book in the attic. Its pages were yellowed with age, and its spine creaked in protest as she opened it. Inside, she discovered a trove of handwritten notes, a testament to generations long gone. The words danced before her eyes, inked in a language that seemed almost familiar, as though it resonated with something deep within her soul. It spoke of rituals and incantations, of powers that ebbed and flowed with the rhythms of the natural world. Emma's heart quickened, and a surge of recognition coursed through her veins. The revelation left her breathless. It seemed that the legends were not just stories, but a living, breathing part of her heritage. She felt a kinship with those who had come before, a connection that transcended time and space. As the seasons changed and the days grew shorter, Emma delved further into the mysteries of Pendle Hill. She sought out the hidden corners, the ancient groves, and the murmuring brooks. In the whispers of the wind and the rustling leaves, she found echoes of her ancestors, guiding her towards a destiny she was only just beginning to understand. In the heart of the village, Emma met a kindred spirit, a young man named Thomas, who bore his own legacy of magic and mystery. Together, they embarked on a journey of self-discovery, unraveling the threads of their shared history. As the years passed, Emma and Thomas became stewards of the ancient knowledge, keeping the flame of their ancestors' wisdom alive. They walked the line between the ordinary and the extraordinary, embracing the quirks that set them apart. And so, beneath the watchful gaze of Pendle Hill, the legacy continued, passed down through the generations, a testament to the enduring power of blood and heritage. Emma and Thomas knew that they were not alone, that the echoes of the past resonated within them, and in the hearts of those who would follow. For in this village, beneath the shadow of Pendle Hill, the line between reality and magic was as thin as the mist that clung to the ancient stones. And they, like their ancestors, would forever dance along its ethereal edge. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Whatever happened to the jury in the trial of the Lancashire witches? Was they cursed for sentencing these innocent people? The year was 1612, and the winds howled through the cobbled streets of Lancaster, carrying with them whispers of dread and accusations of witchcraft. In a small, dimly lit courtroom, 12 men sat in solemn judgment. They were the jury presiding over the trial of the Lancashire witches. As the trial unfolded, a dark cloud of suspicion hung heavily over the accused. The accused, a group of men and women from the village of Pendle, were believed to have consorted with dark forces, casting malevolent spells and wreaking havoc on the lives of their neighbors. The evidence was flimsy at best, tales of strange happenings and mysterious illnesses that seemed to plague those who had crossed paths with the accused. Yet, in those uncertain times, fear gripped the hearts of the jury, clouding their judgment. They could not fathom the possibility that such evil could walk among them. After days of deliberation, the jury reached their verdict. Guilty. The accused were condemned to face the gallows, their lives sacrificed to quell the fear that had taken root in Lancashire. Little did the jury know, they had just set in motion a tragic course of events. The accused, innocent of the crimes they were accused of, departed this world with curses on their lips and pain in their hearts. In the years that followed, the jury members went about their lives, haunted by the spectre of the trial. Each of them carried a weight on their conscience, a gnawing doubt that perhaps they had condemned innocent souls to their fate. Strange misfortunes began to befall them. Crops withered, livestock sickened, and a pall of sorrow settled over their homes. Some whispered that the Lancashire witches had exacted their revenge from beyond the grave, cursing those who had wronged them. As the years turned into decades, the jury members met their own tragic ends. Some succumbed to illness, others met untimely accidents, and a few simply vanished without a trace. It was said that the vengeful spirits of the Lancashire witches had claimed their due, leaving a trail of sorrow and despair in their wake. The tale of the Lancashire witches and the jury who condemned them became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of letting fear cloud one's judgment. The small village of Pendle, once a place of tranquility, became a symbol of a dark chapter in history. To this day, the story lingers in the misty moors of Lancashire, a reminder that the past has a way of reaching out and touching the present. The cursed jury and the innocent souls they condemned are forever entwined in a tragic tale of justice gone awry, a lesson in the terrible cost of misplaced fear and blind judgment. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. The stump of the Earby maypole has been found in Earby. It would have been in Yorkshire when it was erected many years ago. Title: Whispers of the Maypole's Legacy. In the heart of the Yorkshire village of Earby, where the moors met the sky, there stood a humble stump, weathered and gnarled. It was all that remained of what had once been a towering maypole, a symbol of celebration and unity. Generations had passed since its erection, and the memory of those joyous festivities had faded into legend. As the years rolled on, the village of Earby transformed. Modernity encroached upon its ancient cobblestone streets, and the traditions of yesteryear began to wane. Yet, nestled beneath the canopy of ancient oaks, the stump of the maypole stood steadfast, its presence a quiet testament to days of merriment. The children of Earby, with wide-eyed wonder, would often gather around the stump, their imaginations alight with tales of the past. Old Mrs. Thompson, the village historian, would regale them with stories passed down through the ages, of dances and laughter that once filled the air. One misty autumn evening, as the moon hung low, young Emma dared her friends to embark on a quest to uncover the secrets of the maypole's stump. Armed with flashlights and boundless curiosity, they set off into the woods, determined to solve the mystery that had long eluded them. Deep in the forest, beneath the shadowy boughs, they stumbled upon an ancient stone plaque half buried in moss and leaves. With trembling fingers, Emma brushed away the years of neglect and revealed the faded inscription. It read, "In this hallowed ground, the spirit of Earby's maypole resides. Let its memory be a beacon of unity and joy for generations to come." As the children read the words, a strange feeling washed over them, as though the very earth beneath their feet held the echoes of long-lost laughter and the music of merry celebrations. Word spread throughout the village of the discovery, and soon, the people of Earby felt a renewed connection to their heritage. They gathered once more in the shadow of the stump, determined to rekindle the spirit of the maypole. With a shared sense of purpose, they worked tirelessly to craft a new maypole, breathing life back into the age-old tradition. And so, on a bright spring morning, with ribbons fluttering in the breeze, the maypole once again rose to its former glory. The villagers danced and laughed, their hearts lightened by the knowledge that they had reclaimed a piece of their history. The stump, though weathered and worn, watched over them, a silent witness to the resilience and determination of a village that refused to let its traditions fade away. From that day forward, the memory of the Earby maypole lived on, not just in whispered tales, but in the vibrant dances and laughter that echoed through the generations, forever intertwined with the spirit of Earby itself. By Donald J. The Random Jottings of Donald J. from Nelson in Pendle. Woman in silk. Location: Didsbury, Swivel House, since demolished, rebuilt and renamed. Type: haunting. Manifestation: date time, 19th century. After the death of Sam Dean, who made his fortune selling swivels for hand looms, a phantom woman in a green silk dress started to make an appearance on the site. She moved from room to room, her dress rustling as she moved. Since being renamed/rebuilt, the phantom has not been heard or seen. In the heart of Didsbury, nestled amidst the cobblestone streets and ivy-covered cottages, stood the imposing structure known as Swivel House. It was a relic of the past, a testament to a time when handlooms and swivels were the lifeblood of industry. Sam Dean, a shrewd businessman with a knack for innovation, had amassed his fortune within those very walls. The legend of Swivel House, however, extended beyond the clinking coins and the whirring looms. It spoke of a ghostly figure, a woman draped in the finest green silk. Her presence was not always felt, but when she chose to reveal herself, her ethereal form moved from room to room, the delicate fabric of her gown whispering secrets to the air. The townsfolk spoke of her in hushed tones, weaving stories of lost love and unfinished business that tethered her to the mortal realm. Some said she was a long-lost relative of Sam Dean, while others believed her to be a lover, forever bound to the place where their hearts had intertwined. As the years passed, the stories of the woman in silk became woven into the very fabric of Didsbury's history. Her visits were anticipated, her spectral figure a topic of conversation in taverns and parlours. Each sighting brought a mix of awe and trepidation, for the line between the living and the departed had grown thin within Swivel House's time-worn walls. Yet, like all things touched by time, Swivel House eventually succumbed to the inevitable. Its walls, once sturdy and unyielding, gave way to the ravages of years. It was rebuilt, renamed, and though the essence of the place endured, the woman in silk seemed to have vanished with the dust and echoes of the old structure. The new building stood tall, a blend of modernity and echoes of the past. The streets of Didsbury continued to bustle, as life flowed on, leaving behind the ghosts of yesteryears. The phantom woman, it seemed, had finally found release with the transformation of Swivel House. Her presence, once a poignant reminder of days gone by, faded into the annals of history. Yet, in the quiet corners of Didsbury, where the wind whispered through the trees and the cobbled streets still echoed with the footfalls of time, the memory of the woman in silk lingered, a testament to a bygone era, and a reminder that some stories are destined to be woven into the very fabric of a place, forever whispering their secrets to those who care to listen. By Donald J.